Is everyone ready for the next half of this scintillating day? Yes. We can do better than that. Cyrus?
It's like half the blood is digesting food and all that. It's all going to get there.
Yep. So wake up everyone, because we've had a fantastic lunch and now it's time to recharge. It's been a really inspiring morning, filled with thought-provoking discussions, and we're absolutely thrilled for what's coming up this afternoon. In just a little bit, we'll have the Prime Minister joining us. Don't forget to grab your headphones from right there for live translations from our counter, if you haven't done so already.
It was an incredible panel before lunch, and I'm still buzzing from the last panel. The insights were mind-blowing and the energy was electric. Who knew talking about innovation could actually be like a double espresso shot?
I know, right? But it's always such a privilege to hear directly from visionaries. It really puts into perspective how much of their work actually shapes our future.
Absolutely. And the best part is the show's just getting started and warmed up. Let's settle in, keep the energy high, and get ready for more fantastic moments here at the Economic Times World Leaders Forum.
Our next guest, ladies and gentlemen, is a shining example of how age is absolutely no barrier to greatness. From her early days on the shooting range to standing tall as India's first female shooter to win 2 Olympic medals, her journey at the 2024 Paris Olympics in the 10-meter air pistol shooting events is a testament to dedication, resilience, and unyielding passion.
But she's not just about medals and records. She's also a student of public administration, an advocate for sports in India, and a role model who believes in giving back to the community. Whether she's hitting the mark on the range or balancing academics, she embodies the spirit of never backing down from a challenge, especially when maintaining focus in a generation where distractions are everywhere.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the powerhouse of talent and inspiration, someone we've all been very, very proud of, Manu Bhaker. Woohoo!
It is wonderful having you here.
We are so proud.
A lovely standing emotion. And joining Manu for her fireside chat is K. Srinivas Rao, content head at Times Internet Sports. They'll dive into Beyond the Trigger, harnessing mental toughness for success in any field that you are in, and exploring how the mental strength cultivated in shooting can actually be applied across various domains in life. Let's welcome Manu Bhaker and K. Srinivas Rao to the stage.
Enjoy the session and thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Well, just before coming here on the stage, I was asking Manu how much free time has she got after she's come back from Paris. And she's still not found enough time to breathe. Thank you, everyone. The only introduction that you need here is who I am. My name is Srinivas. There, you don't need any introduction. First female Indian shooter to win an Olympic medal. First Indian woman to win 2 Olympic medals. It doesn't get bigger than that. And a range of things as we go further. We're going to kind of keep talking about. The first thing I'd like to begin with is, Manu, you have come back and, the last 1 month has been a total high in terms of, all the accolades that you've been getting. But what has been going on, like, inside your mind in terms of where do you go further from here? Let's first begin with what is the future hold for you after this kind of a high that you've seen?
Firstly, thank you all so much for the very, very warm welcome. And thank you so much for having me here today. It's a pleasure coming and meeting with all of you. So for me, the target will be the journey to gold in the Olympic Games. So next thing will be LA for me. However, I'm on a short break for now. It's been 8.5 years that I took break from my sport. So right now is the time when I'm like, okay, 3 months, 4 months, I will take, and then start back with my training again for the LA 2028. And all the competitions in between, I'm like, it's just a milestone, and then the further goal will be LA 2028 for me. And right now also I'm enjoying everything. I mean, I'm getting to dress up and all, so it's fun and games.
Lovely. You know, I also saw one of your quotes very recently where she said that while one can go on to become an engineer, become a doctor, whichever respective field that you want to excel in, and so is it with sport. Sport has so much to offer today's times.
Right.
But does any other profession has the pain to offer the way sport does? Because if things don't work, like what happened in Tokyo, it can be pretty painful, right?
It can be, but I believe that when you are actually really invested in something, when something's really close to your heart, for example, for me, it's my sport. I'm really connected to it emotionally, physically, mentally. So it will cause pain when sometimes you're not able to deliver to the level that you've been expecting. So for some of the people, it'll be sports. For some of people, it'll be education. Some of people, it'll be business. So I mean, whenever you are really invested in something and you are not really able to deliver to your levels, that will cause a lot of pain. And sports, I believe like it gave me an opportunity to travel the world, which I really, really enjoy. So I would really be like, go into sports, but also you have to balance your studies and everything. Everything is really important. You can't be like just sports or just activities or just studies. It should be a balance in life.
We see you smiling right now and like enjoying all the focus, but tell us how lonely a sport like shooting can get. Like I got an opportunity a couple of years ago to go to a shooting range for the first time. It was this pistol shooting range. And honestly, when I saw these youngsters aiming for hours and hours into, kind of staring at nothing, it's really depressing to look at. I mean, how is it to actually pursue the sport?
Don't say depressing. But I mean, we find our interests in it. For me, I mean, my sport gives me kick. For example, if I'm shooting in some event and I do not win, so for the next event, for me, it will be like, I have to win. I have to win in the next competitions. The mistakes I made, I should learn from them and not repeat in the next one. So we set goals, short-term goals for a very next competition, or say next year, the competitions that are. So we set short-term goals, and I'm sure like in beginning, shooting can be really, really boring for some people. But once you start to get a hold of it, I'm sure it's really interesting. And for a hobby also, it can be really interesting to just keep your mind off things. So I really enjoy it. And I would ask you all to, whenever you come to the ranges, or if you get time, please try shooting. It's a very good stress reliever as well.
Nice. You talk about hobbies. Like, I really want to know what are the hobbies that you have cultivated? Like shooting as a hobby. Now she's into sketching. She's into horse riding. She plays the violin. She reads. These are the hobbies that you've cultivated, right? Yes. Are these hobbies or are these coping mechanisms to cope with shooting?
For me, it's just hobbies, because I really enjoy doing different things. I mean, we all should find time for ourselves to, be able to do things that we really like. I mean, some people like to try different sports. For example, on Sundays, they go for a run or for a football match or something. Some people go for movies and all. You should definitely find time for yourself. You should definitely devote at least 5 hours or so every week for yourself, and it will make you feel really good. For me, it's trying different sports, different activities. It's really fun.
It's easy, some people go for a walk, some people go for a run, some people get horse riding, some people just learn violin. It's easy, right?
It is easy. I mean, you should enjoy what you do. And if you find out time for yourself, even like 5-6 hours every week, it'll really elevate your mood, and it'll really be able to help you focus better in what you're doing in your life.
There was this short reel on Instagram of Manu which had gone viral very recently. I don't know whether you also some influencer with a very good sense of humor says, attitude तो ये ऐसे दिखाते हैं जैसे 2 medal जीत के आए.
Yes, that was really funny to shoot actually.
एक नहीं 2 medal. But seriously, after so what was difficult? What was more difficult? Finding motivation after Tokyo or staying motivated now after this kind of a high that you're seeing?
I believe like both of those situations, like the one I had after Tokyo, also it took a toll on me. I was really, really heartbroken, and I was like, next time I have to win, and I must win. But during the process, as soon as Tokyo ended, I was really motivated for the next Olympic Games. But 2022 and 2023 showed me a really tough time. So coping up at that time was really difficult for me, but I was like, just put in your own honest hard work and just let it be. Just let it be. Before Olympic Games, I would like to share this with you all. Before Olympic Games, Paris 2024, I was not able to win any major medal in any event. I was winning team medals, but not an individual medal. So I was really not confident entering the Paris 2024. But my coach and my family were like, you must deliver what you have learned. You must try to do your best in this event and just let it be. You will win a medal. He was really confident in me, but I was not. But when you are really focused in your process, I'm sure you will get the results as well.
I've been reading about the wonderful things that you've had to say about your coach. Kind of heartwarming. We'll come to that. Now, one of the things that Manu's doing, and I was talking about how she loves to pursue things, one of the things that she's doing is she's gone back to serious studies, academics. Once again, I really wanted to talk about this. More importantly, because, having tracked sport for the longest time, I've really seen athletes, whether it's cricketers, non-cricketers, anyone, like struggling with their careers post-retirement. It's such a heartless space, right? I mean, in any other vocation in life, 30 years, I'm actually looking to move to the next level of my career. Whereas in sport, mostly around that age, an athlete is wondering, what do I do next? So that's where I think academics come in and are really important. So you're really setting the benchmark for younger kids who are following you.
You said I've gone back to studies. I mean, I never left it. I was never like, okay, drop this and just focus on this. So
I didn't mean gone back, but you're pursuing it with all seriousness.
I'll tell you truly, actually, I come from a family of engineers or professors or teachers and all. So it's like I have this kind of pressure when I'm in studies or schools or colleges. So there's this thoda sa pressure I feel at times that if you fail, it's not going to look good on your profile. I don't want to be tagged as like she failed this class or she failed this year of the college. So I would not like to do that. And my tutors really helped me with that. And I believe that, you should be able to balance everything in your life. One thing cannot take you as far as you would want to go. So for me, it's like when I get time free out of sport, I really enjoy studying as well. And my tutors really help me with that.
And if this is not enough, her parents are here. So after the session is over, we can definitely take some tips on how to study and be an Olympic champion both at the same time. All right. You spent most of your childhood, traveling, competing, Youth Olympic, Gold, World Cup, in your teenage, right? What was the teenage like? And I'd like to understand it from your perspective so that I get an understanding of how it is like for most champions, kind of when they are at that age where you want to be out with friends, you want to go out, you want to have fun, everybody around you probably has a more laid back lifestyle, and you are there in that range with headsets and just looking at that one dot and going on and on and on. So what is it like?
I'm sure many people really like to enjoy their teenage years and hanging out with friends or going for a movie and all. But for me, it was never really the case. I was actually not able to make friends because I was not really around in school times or in college times. So I was mostly out shooting competitions for country. And I think at that time when I was 16, 17, 18 years old, the major thing that really, really inspired me and motivated me and that kept me going was that if I lose one competition, I would be really pissed off. I'd be like, how could you lose? How are you not able to win this competition? So that would really trigger me. It would actually trigger me a lot. And then if I'd win a competition, I'd be like, you have to repeat it. You have to do it again. So that was my motivation that really kept me going when I was 16, 17, 18, 19. But right now, like, I'm more patient with things and I'm like, okay, you will win when you will. Just keep going. Just keep going with the flow and keep putting your hard work. And I mean, I also enjoy watching movies and all with my family and friends. I take out time, as I mentioned earlier. I take out time for my hobbies. I take out time to spend with my family. And as a human being, I mean, that is the very foremost priority we should have, spending time with family and giving yourself time as well. That will really, really help you mentally, physically, and to go in a longer run in your careers.
I have absolutely no doubt about the triggers that she speaks about. You should write a book someday between Tokyo and Paris, because if motivation has to be the word, I don't know if it gets better than that in the current context, you know, after what happened in Tokyo and then what has happened in Paris. And I will keep coming back to you with more and more stories over the years on that. Now, having said that, take us back to, Manu, the shooter in the making. Are you a product of the system? Because again, I mean, champions have gone on to become what they've become apropos of the system, right? In some ways, there are athletes who have benefited from the system, and then again, there are athletes who have gone on to succeed regardless of what the system has kind of provided. I'm just saying, in general, what do you look at yourself as?
So we all come across several challenging moments in our lives and in our careers. For me also, sometimes it was really challenging for me to be able to go along with the system. Sometimes the system really helped me to actually achieve something in life, something like win some competition or qualify for some events and competitions. So it was both. Actually, the system helped me also, and when it was challenging for me, for example, before the Paris Olympic Games, we had like 4 or 5 sets of trials, and I was shooting 3 events. It was really hectic for me. It was challenging, but it really made me strong, and I came out stronger, and it actually really helped me in Paris as well. So I don't think we can always have everything how we want them to be, how we want it to be. Sometimes life will throw really hard times at you. Sometimes it will be really difficult for you all. It was for me as well, but that time will really make you stronger. And I can't say I'm a product of something or not, but everything that has happened in my life really made me who I am today, and I'm really grateful that it happened.
It's clearly a case of, seeing the glass half full. That's it. That's how life should be. But, I was asking because also there have been so many stories about, years ago where shooters used to face the whole problem of, either you become a shooter first and then import the gun, like how do you, small things, there used to be so much struggle, but I'm sure things are better now from a system standpoint.
So initially I did face this challenge that, I was not really able to get a license to import a pistol, but sooner the things were addressed, and I got help also from the government and from the media people especially. I mean, the media was the body that really helped me with getting the license for the first time when I had to import the pistol. So, I mean, everything can be useful, and I had never imagined I will have such good relations with media people in a longer term. And definitely, I believe that challenges will help you get stronger in life. You will be, so there's a saying that God will throw challenges at you thinking that you are capable of overcoming that and becoming even stronger. So just face the challenges, whatever they are in your lives, and I'm sure some people have it even tougher in lives, but they'll make us stronger.
Okay, before we wrap up, one last thing. and this is something that as I keep saying, watching a shooter from a distance, how emotionally fragile can a shooter's life and mind and canvas be? Because so much time that y'all spend alone, anything, how do you stay away from anything that can negatively impact, because it's such a mental thing to stay positive all the time, and then it's, again, not boring, but I'm just saying,
So yes, it gets boring at times for me as well. Even now, sometimes it's boring. But I have learned, my sport has taught me so much of patience. Earlier, I was a really impulsive person. I would really react to things quickly, especially when I was into boxing and karate. I was so impulsive in nature. I was like, if it's getting out of my hands, I would react immediately. But in this sport, it has taught me a lot of patience, and I would say that you should actually stick by what you really like in life. Shooting, I really love. I really enjoy playing my sport. So I think I'm going to stick by for a long time, and I will try for as long as it's possible for me, for as long as I love my sport. And we should all try to give our best in our fields. And India has so much of potential. I mean, come on, so many 1.5 billion people now. And we all have so much of talent, so much of potential. In the coming years, I think we can dominate in many, many, different segments of life, different segments of career. So.
That's a wrap. Thank you so much. It's such an honor to have Manu Bhaker here. Thank you for taking the time out to be here today. Well, you can see the accolades speak for all of us. Thank you, Manu. Thank you. And we hope to sit here again after LA28.
Yes. I would like to say something. Actually, the Paralympics have just begun, and Indians are also doing well. Let's all support our Paralympians and cheer for them. Let's root for them, and we hope they bring in as many medals as possible for our country and shine brighter. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Manu, for sharing your incredible journey with us and your ability to maintain focus in a world so filled with so many distractions is truly inspiring. Honestly, if I had half your concentration, I might have finally remembered where I parked my car this morning. But round of applause for this incredible talent, and thank you.
Well, actually, I would have liked to ask Manu and hear her thoughts on, the current Paralympian champions that she mentioned, Avni Lekhara and Manish Narwal, and, their achievements have inspired so many people, and they're going to have a huge impact on the future of Indian sports as well.
Well, we've moved further on to that, to our next panel discussion.
But Manu is such a powerful reminder of determination and focus and, being tough mentally, and I've learned a lot from this session, honestly.
Absolutely. And, just see from the audience reaction, it's been amazing.
Yeah.
So, a big thank you to Manu Bhaker for inspiring words, and of course to K. Srinivas Rao for guiding that wonderful and engaging conversation.
Yep, with our next session, ladies and gentlemen, we are shifting our focus to a sector that not only showcases India's cultural richness, but also holds immense potential for global influence. We're talking about tourism. India, with its diverse landscapes, vibrant culture, deep historical roots, we are perfectly positioned to become a global tourism powerhouse. Our session is aptly titled Beyond Borders, Boosting India's Tourism on the Global Map.
Now, to explore how India can elevate its tourism sector on the world stage, we have an esteemed panel with us today. Joining us on stage, Sandeep Ghosh, Group Country Manager, India and South Asia, Visa. Prince Laksharaj Singh Mewar, Promoter, HRH Group of Hotels. Rajesh Magao, Co-Founder and Group Chief Executive Officer, Make My Trip. Puneet Chatwal, MD and CEO, The Indian Hotels Company Limited. And Neelu Khatri, Co-Founder and Senior VP International Operations, Akasa Air. What an incredible lineup.
What
Round of applause.
a lineup, honestly. I mean, everyone in the world of tourism and hospitality, these are the biggies, guys. Moderating this conversation, and I love this table out here, the visa table. Well done. Love the energy. Moderating this wonderful conversation is Mandeep Lamba, the President and CEO South Asia of HVS Anarok, who will delve into the opportunities and challenges in making tourism a cornerstone of India's growth strategy. Please welcome all our panelists and our fantastic moderator on stage. Welcome, enjoy.
Wow, it's so heartening to see the hall so full. And I think I have to thank ET for doing what they did to bring Manu Bhaker just after lunch. We wouldn't have seen half this hall hadn't she come. Most sessions post-lunch can be sparse attendance, but thank you very much, ET. I think it was lovely. I have such a power-packed panel today. Great leaders from hospitality, airlines, travel, from the credit card business. And we're going to talk about tourism. We had such a power-packed and such an inspirational speech from the tourism minister earlier today. And he sort of laid some of the paths that India is likely to take as we go forward. But just to quickly set the context, we all know we're going to be the third largest economy in the world very shortly. 3 years down the line, we'll cross the 5 trillion mark. And a lot of good things are positioning India into a global sort of powerhouse. On the domestic tourism front, there's a lot to cheer about post the debacle we had during COVID. But on the international tourism front, I think there is still a fair amount of work that we need to do. We are ranked, and this is pre-COVID, 24th on the UN WTO World Destinations, about 11 million foreign travel arrivals, and on the global share, we are at around 1%. So a lot more that we need to do to bring tourism into the same stature as the rest of the country seems to be going. I'm going to start with you, Rajesh, to get a sort of a 30,000 feet overview on India as a destination. But before I do that, I have to congratulate you, all of your colleagues in Make My Trip and the Department of Tourism for that absolutely stunning new campaign that you've started, the India Homecoming. If anyone of you have not watched that, I'd seriously urge you to watch it. It'll warm the cockles of your heart. But back to you, Rajesh. Give us a sort of perspective on India as a destination.
Right, thanks, Mandeep, and good afternoon, everyone. Yes, it was truly inspiring session right after the lunch, and because of which I think we have the crowd in the hall, which is great for us. Yeah, and thank you, Mandeep, for the compliments on the campaign as well. Yeah, I think it did actually touch the right chords at everybody's heart when we were talking about. We saw that opportunity with the NRIs out there, and the occasion was 15th August, so couldn't have been better occasion for us to be able to do it. But that's just the humble beginning, to be honest. But like you were talking about the economy first, right? So I think it's the fact today. I don't think we have to think too much about it, that India is on the world map as far as the economy is concerned. We're getting all the attention from every corner, be it political leaders of the world, or it is investors community, from the entire world, sort of looking at and investing into our economy, because they see the size of the opportunity and we see the robust growth of the economy. So we are definitely there on the map, and we'll continue to keep growing. The projections and the outlook seems to be robust as well. When it comes to tourism, and specifically, let's say, inbound tourism, I think there is a lot that we still need to do. Just to throw some numbers with you first, just to put things in perspective. While domestic tourism is back on growth path already, the international tourism, just from an outbound perspective, is also back on growth path already. The inbound tourism, believe it or not, given the COVID situation that we had, the industry sort of went through, showed a lot of resilience. We're still at about 85% recovery as compared to the 2019 levels, right? So we get about 9.8 million, close to about 10 million tourists, and we used to be at about 11 or a little over 11 million tourists, foreign tourist arrivals in 2019. So, but the good news on top of that is that the 23 over 22 was like 300% growth, right? So clearly the trajectory is there now. We are sort of getting into the finishing the recovery path and getting into the growth zone, even for the foreign tourist arrivals as well. But if you really see at the 30,000 feet level, there are a few things that are very, very important, because I think the foundation is nicely set for the country. If you think about tourism, the three things that you would see, and you can do ChatGPT, which is the buzzword these days, and you will find the same answers. What is that people see? And I think Honorable Minister was sort of trying to allude to that as well. There's history, culture, attractions. That's the first thing, because the country has to be attractive. And I think there's a big tick mark there as far as we are concerned, right? So India has got huge amount of history, culture, heritage, monuments, attractions, you name it, we have them all. I don't think we have to worry about that at all. And then the second thing that everybody sort of looks at when they have to sort of visit any country is the easy access to the country, right? The connectivity, the easy access, just hassle-free, friction-free sort of experience on, I don't have to really think too much before I have to visit the country, right? I think we've started our journey there with e-visas going around, opening up, beginning to sort of open up now more and more. I think a lot more that has to be done on that front as well. And then the third part is all about experience. So what kind of experience that I want to have it when I visit a particular country. And again, on that part, one part of the sort of journey that has started and accelerated in the last 10 years is about infrastructure, the quality of infrastructure. And I think we are getting there with the, a lot of the new airports, the road infrastructure, the expressways, the highways, and so on and so forth. But I have to say that, there is a lot more. There's significant amount of headroom on that front that we will have to do. Now, all of this is in the context of, if we want to put India, given that the number one is a big tick, that, we have it in all, in terms of what people can come and see and visit and do, including entertainment, if you will, and the nature. But unless we are able to sort of accelerate the pace on number 2 or number 3 to improve the quality infrastructure further, in-destination experience, and be able to then sort of open up the country for a lot of the country nationals, and then as we sort of go on that journey and we accelerate the pace, then we have to showcase that. We have to create awareness. We have to change the perception of the country, because people just also worry about security and safety and so on and so forth as well, right? So, which is, I would say, I would put it in the bucket of experience as well. So I think those are the two things that we still need to do a lot of work on.
Absolutely. Puneet, I'm going to come to you. We keep talking about all the infrastructure, and truly, I think in independent India, I don't think we've seen this kind of impetus or focus on developing infrastructure, both from the government and the private sector. Be it, of course, our road network or the additional trains, the improvement of our stations, the world-class airports, sports stadiums, convention centers, all of which augurs very well for the nation as well as for tourism as well. How do you think, Puneet, we can leverage these better from a global context?
I think there is one word that will describe the development of the infrastructure for tourism in the last 3 to 5 years is just outstanding. I think we could not have asked for anything better, and the single biggest beneficiary of the growth of infrastructure is hospitality. So I think And then when hospitality grows, it creates a lot of jobs. It's the biggest multiplicator of jobs in the world. There's nothing new. It's been proven again and again. And those are jobs from, unorganized sector to organized sector to, vegetable suppliers to the shikarawala and the rickshawalas in Banaras, etc., etc. But more importantly, I think we need to have a clean base for our statistics. I agree with my friend Rajesh and whatever he said, but honestly speaking, that 10 million figure is not tourists coming into India. At least half of them are people coming here for business, whether they get counted as delegates of G20 or for other businesses, because a lot of international companies have offices in India and it's growing very rapidly. Another quarter is the Indian diaspora living outside of India. Each time they come to visit parents or Dussehra or Diwali or Christmas, they get counted as a new arrival. A real tourist, we have not even started properly. So the opportunity is immense. The growth of infrastructure is great. The building of Yashobhumi and Bharat Mandapam and Geo and the stadiums, etc., is fantastic. The Vande Bharat trains and the renaissance of the train stations is phenomenal. तो कह सकते हैं कि अभी पिक्चर शुरू हुई है, बाकी नहीं है, अभी शुरू हुई है. And I think people will be surprised with the success this sector is going to witness in the years to come. Of course, there will be headwinds, but a lot of good is just beginning.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. Neil, I'm going to come to you because clearly, if we have to bring more people into the country, whether tourists or even those who come on business travel and on medical tourism or whatever else, we'll need more flights, right? There's been obviously a great amount of infrastructure on your sector. We've grown from about 50 airports operating to more than 150 and counting. Our number of aircrafts is growing from 700 odd to 1200 in the next few years. We've placed the largest order of airlines in the history of civil aviation. Not only that, our infrastructure is now world class. Even our airports in tier 2 and tier 3 cities compare well with that you see in more developed nations. Now, with that in perspective, tell us, and we get, I think, about 600 flights a day which are coming in from international destinations. What do we need to do to get those people into India if we are going to grow tourism and if the demand is what it appears to be?
Sure, thank you. So, couple of things, 3.5 years back when we were actually sitting on a drawing board and thinking of what Akasa would be, our CEO Vinay Dubey had a great vision. He comes from Delta Airlines, a lot of global, international, national experience. I think few things we were very, very clear while we were creating the chart. One of them was that the customer centricity has to be number one. So therefore, and what is it, the customer centricity that attracts people to come in, to fly with you and to come into your country? One of the thing is empathy. So I think the entire ethos of when we were creating this airline was how empathetic we are to our people who are working in. And then from there it flew into, so therefore people who will serve it, they should be wearing a shoe with laces because they are comfortable, vibrant clothes, comfortable clothes. Menu should not be restricted to 1 or 2 items. We have 45 items of menu. So it started from there. But to come specific to your question on what the airlines can do, I think the airlines have to get this customer centricity at the core of its operation. Now, whether it means how do they get the boarding in experience, how do they get the checking in experience, the digital experience, and the less and less FaceTimes, etc., a seamless free flow of information and getting in and out. I think those are some of the things that the airlines have to provide. Therefore, customer centricity based on digitization, based on AI techniques. I mean, currently, it's very, very interesting. We are thinking of, can we create an AI mechanism on hyper focused passenger services, so that, you know, last time, for example, you come in and you say, okay, you know, I had the chicken sandwich, wasn't that good, you know. The next time you come in, the person at the boarding gate, the person serving you should have that information to say, I'm so sorry, sir, you did not have the right experience. I hope this time you have a better one. So that kind of a hyper-focus, personal focus on the customers is something that the airlines, at least our airline, and I'm sure the others are also focusing on. And it has to be backed up by the AI, it has to be backed up by the digitized, you know, tools that we can create. The other is, of course, the connectivity. How are we looking at the international destinations coming in and then going and getting connected to the various areas? So therefore, a very strategic, you know, thoughts on how your network should look like, and have you studied your network and the customer movement exceptionally well? I think these are some of the things that go very well into addressing that.
Lakshya, we're going to move to you. You know, the minister said earlier, Rajesh said, no pressure. Matt, you know, India's heritage and culture are, of course, something that fascinates the world, right? We have 43 UNESCO World Heritage Sites. We're at number 6 globally, in as much as the UNESCO standing is concerned. Lots of very good quality historical forts, monuments, palaces, etc. Some great heritage hotels, many of which you run. How can we package this better? How can we get more attention from the world in terms of converting, actually converting the attention into actual people coming into India for the heritage experience?
I thought they were going to be easier questions. You know, we had the deal behind it. You're putting me on the spot. But first and foremost, I think we need to give credit where it's due. I think that's very, very important. And I think we should acknowledge our strengths and then acknowledge our weaknesses and work towards it. I think as far as heritage hospitality is concerned, first and foremost, I think right in this hall, right in this hotel, right on this stage, I think there are certain things that need to be credited, appreciated, and applauded, which is that our Indian company today has knocked the doors of the World Forum as far as heritage hospitality is concerned. That is none other than the Tatas and the Taj Group of hotels. Today that has... देखिए, ये सोच के लिए और संस्कृति के लिए तालियां बहुत कमजोर थी. मैं कभी ताली बजाने के लिए नहीं बोलूँगा. But today, we are exceptionally proud of the fact that Indian hospitality has on the World Forum emerged. Today, the Taj has emerged as the strongest brand in the world. You know, we've always spoken about the fact that, yes, hospitality originates from India. We are great people at hospitality, but it's always been talk. Today, this company has allowed the world to experience who we really are. It takes me back to my classroom when I was studying hospitality in Australia, when there were about 16 of us sitting in a room. And the professor walks in, very stern professor, 16 of us, looks straight into my eye and says that this Indian gentleman who's in this hall does not need to participate for the first 5 minutes of the lesson. With this face, it doesn't help anyway. And then him making this statement wasn't to further help anyway. And that kind of really made me nervous. उस समय पे वो feeling आती है ना कि धरती फटे और मैं अंदर जाऊँ. So it was literally, that is what was going through my head, my soul. If people believe that I have one, it did go through, you know. But the first thing he said was that we will begin this lesson from learning how to smile. And that is when it took exactly the same amount of time, what you call for it to penetrate, that an Indian does not need to be taught what genuinity actually means. You know?
Fabulous.
तो एक बहुत खूबसूरत कहावत है कि अच्छी सूरत को संवरने की जरूरत नहीं है, सादगी में ही कयामत की अदा होती है.
क्या बात है.
So, and I think being the brand ambassador, I hope I get a raise next time round for the Taj Group of hotels world over. You know, I'm only trying to butter my bread on the right side, but at the same time,
you have to make up your mind. 1 second. Outside, you said you were the butler. Now you're saying you're the brand ambassador, and you were looking for a raise on both positions.
Absolutely. Without a doubt, you know, I think it's a matter of great privilege, you know, for us as a family who's been floating around on this planet for 1500 years. and today being the brand ambassador for one of the greatest companies and the strongest brands in the world for me, is a great achievement, and sharing an association of over 50 years with the Taj, and I think it runs in everybody's DNA. Now today, and what the minister also said, and what Mr. Chatwal also mentioned, and I think this is where we need to take pride, this is where we need to take a leaf out of their book, is the fact that we need to be exceptionally happy about our culture. That is where we need to be focused on. The technicalities, the AIs, technology, we are all for it. But the one thing I will certainly say, being an Indian at heart and being in the hospitality industry where it's a people-based industry, and I'm all for technology, don't get me wrong. But the one thing that I will certainly say is सादगी थी, बंदगी थी, सरलता थी, जब तक Facebook और WhatsApp न थे, तब तक जिंदगी थी. So
क्या बात है? एक अलग से आपके साथ मुशायरा करेंगे सर.
But when you're talking about heritage hospitality, something that you can touch, something that you can feel, something that you can see, and an experience that you can take back. That is what we're really talking about. When my dad started the hospitality, when he was in the hospitality industry or started it in the early 60s, running hot water literally meant...
Running with hot and water. Yeah. Absolutely.
So, and that's the journey today we have come through, and that is what we need to appreciate. And the last thing that I really wish to say is that we need to be in sync with all of this. Now that we sync with all of this put together, which is that SYNC. Somebody need to help me with my English. Is that correct? SYNC?
Absolutely.
If we don't SYNC sync with each other, we will SINK.
Yeah.
So
I knew that was coming when you asked the spelling.
So the time has come when we wake up to this. Let's start syncing with one another. आलोचना करने वालों के कभी स्मारक नहीं बने. जिन लोगों ने काम किया उनको हमेशा याद रखा गया. So let's work together. Let's build the culture. Let's build the heritage. Let's build the industry, and let's build the nation.
I have to thank whosoever suggested your name for the panel. Yeah. And I suspect it was you, Puneet. Sandeep, I'm going to come to you. We're going to change the track a little. At Visa, you have such a vast data of spending patterns, consumer behavior on spending. Tell us a little bit about where and what kind of spending is the foreign traveler doing when he comes to India, and what can we do to make it better?
So, great question, Mandeep, but boy, that was a tough act to follow, but I'll try my best. So look, we have access, obviously at an anonymized level to a treasure trove of data because most foreign travelers who come into this country obviously use their cards. And at an aggregate level, we do get to see where are these travelers coming from, what are they spending on, how long do they stay in the country, what are the categories that they gravitate to depending on which country, which demographic, which event they come for. So there's a lot of data that we have, and obviously from a source standpoint, the US continues to be the largest source for tourists, followed by UK, Australia, New Zealand, Japan, France, Germany, so on and so forth. More interestingly, you see some very interesting patterns that, obviously countries which have an Indian diaspora footprint, when people come from those countries, they tend to spend on things like jewelry and apparel, which is quite intuitive because India is also a place where a lot of people come for weddings and family occasions and things like that. And another interesting statistic we saw the other day was that, people from countries like Australia and New Zealand tend to stay much longer. So they have much extended durations of stay in India. And I could go on, but really there's a lot of data that we capture. But what is more important are some trends. So health, tourism, wellness tourism is something that is on the uptick. And this is a huge opportunity for the government to leverage on that whole Ayush initiative to grow this segment further, because it's also a little distinctive. It's something that we can offer apart from culture and cuisine as sort of USPs for India. And I just want to close by saying that as Visa, we are super keen to partner with the government at the central level, the state governments, tourism boards, most importantly with all my friends sitting here from the OTA business, travel, hospitality industry, airlines, and really slice and dice this data to make us better and more efficient in how we market ourselves. And last but not the least, people also, tourism is a zero-sum game at some level because, a family would typically take an international holiday once or twice a year. So we are also competing. So not only do we have the data about what people are doing in India, but also how to benchmark that data versus other tourism destinations and what are we competing against. So lots to do, a great start, but a long journey ahead. And I think as Visa, we are deeply committed to this partnership with all possible stakeholders because we really want to see India quadruple from, and even if Puneet's numbers were discounted or not discounted, to become a top 10 global destination, we'll probably need to go 4x or 5x of where we are, right? 40, 50 million plus.
Right.
And that's a huge task, and we really want to contribute to that.
Okay. Sadly, ladies and gentlemen, we've been asked to wrap up. When this whole concept started, we were told it will be a panel discussion for 1 hour. Then it changed to 40 minutes. Then it changed to 30. When we came on stage, the timer showed 25 minutes. 5 people on the stage. We've gone through 1 round of questions. We had 3 rounds. But that's it. We've been, very aggressively being told that wrap up, please, because the next speakers are here. So I'm going to leave it here. Hopefully that this conversation and all of us who are involved with tourism are very emotionally involved with it. We'll continue to spread the message, but you heard from all the experts, and I'm going to leave it at that.
There's a long break before the evening session. You can continue. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I have never wished for a panel to go on longer, honestly. And I would love to be a fly on the wall in the visitors' room at this point. Gentlemen, what a panelist. What a panel. And thank you so much for giving us a front row, look to the future of Indian tourism. I loved it. And like Prince Lakshraj said, Cyrus, Smarak unke bane jayenge jo actually kaam karenge, work on the ground. So we should keep
और मनदीप लांबा जी को आपने कुछ नहीं बोला, सारी मेहनत उन्होंने करी. Thank you so
उन्होंने
much, sir.
बहुत
It was
मेहनत
wonderful
की.
conversation.
Yes, absolutely. It was very, very scintillating. I loved it. Like I said, one panel that we wished had gone on, but another time, another day.
So let us give them all your love because they had such a wonderful chat. Give them a round of applause as they took us to this wonderful chat and this unforgettable journey. And with that, up next, we have a special fireside chat. Actually, not a fireside chat, but a chat featuring a leader who has been instrumental in driving India's technological and infrastructural advancements. Shri Ashwini Vaishnaw, Minister for Railways, Information and Broadcasting, and Electronics and Information Technology.
With an M.Tech from IIT Kanpur and an MBA from Wharton, I'm sorry, sir, आप यहाँ हैं और मैं आपकी तारीफ आपके सामने कर रही हूँ, but what has to be said has to be said. As we all know, Shri Vaishnaw is a former IAS officer who brings a wealth of experience and dedication to his many roles. His diverse portfolio of ministries showcase his vast technical expertise and his commitment to uplifting the most vulnerable in society. His dedication to the Antyodaya philosophy is evident in his mission to transform the lives of marginalized communities across India, and notably, he has spearheaded the transformation of Indian railways with initiatives like Vande Bharat and Kavach and many, many more.
So, sir, it is wonderful to have you here today. Thank you so much for being here, Shri Vaishnav, and we're very excited to hear your insights on Digital Drive, driving India's innovation and progress. Without further ado, over to you, sir.
Post-lunch sessions are always difficult. I'll try to see that you are not kind of somber, but still, let's see how it goes, okay? So, though the topic was digital related, but I thought that this is an opportunity where the global community can get a good picture of what a growth story is all about. So, I'll talk about India's growth story. I'll discuss the thought process behind it so that you get a chance to understand how the nation's economy is being managed, what the thinking is, and why the thinking is giving the results the way they have given the results. Friends, we are comfortably placed in the 6 to 8% growth band. If you look at quarter to quarter, there will obviously be some variations, but the GDP is more or less growing in the range of 6 to 8%. The thought process behind that is basically based on 4 pillars. The 4 pillars are, first is public investment in infrastructure, social, digital, and physical infrastructure. That's the first pillar. It's a very important pillar. The second pillar is lots and lots of focus on making sure that the growth is inclusive. So inclusive development is very much an integral part of our entire thought process. The third big pillar is manufacturing. This is what generates a huge amount of jobs, and this is the need of the hour for the entire world when the countries are looking for resilience in their supply chains and in their value chains. The fourth big pillar is simplification of all the laws. And this entire edifice is being built on technology, using technology, whether it's digital, whether it is the conventional, whichever ways. I'll talk about the 4 pillars. The first pillar is investment in infrastructure. If you look at the capex that our budget is today providing, it used to be on an average about 2.5–3 trillion rupees. This has now gone to 11 trillion rupees. And you look at the progress, 4, 5.5, 7.5, 10, and now 11.1. In terms of billion US, it is about 134 billion US now. So that much public investment is helping us really build the basic foundation of our economy, and also it is attracting the capital, which comes because multiplier impact of this investment is about 3.5. So that gives a huge opportunity for other people to come and be a part of this journey. First, I'll talk about the physical infrastructure. We look at, since I have the responsibility of railways, so I'll talk a bit more about, give more examples out of railways, but the context overall remains the same, how it is improving the productivity of the economy, how it is improving the way goods and people move, how are the manufacturers, they get better facilities. That's the basic context. The pace is what is important, the scale is what is important, and the scope of changes which are happening here, that's very important to understand. If you look at the period from 4 to 14, the number of railway tracks, the kilometers of railway tracks, was about 15,000 kilometers. The number in the last 10 years is 31,000 kilometers, and to put it in context, that is more than the entire network of a rich country like France. That's the importance of this number. This is more than the entire network of France added in last 10 years. Right now we are adding 14.5 kilometers a day, and in the last year we added 5,300 kilometers. In 1 year, we added more than the entire network of Switzerland or Austria or Belgium. That's the pace at which work is happening. Gone are those days when we used to simply say that the population of that much is added to our country. Now, the infrastructure of many of these nations is getting added to our country's infrastructure. Same is the case of railway electrification. If you look at the 60 years from 1947 to 2014, the kilometers electrified was only 21,000 kilometers. 60 years. And the last 10 years is 41,000. Imagine 60 years versus 10 years and 2x work. That is the pace at which work is happening. Any project you take, I'm just giving some samples. The bullet train project, just in 3 years flat, 327 kilometers of the Piers Viaduct has been done. Many engineering marvels are being built. This is the undersea tunnel which will be built below the Thane Creek. This is the Thane Creek. This will be almost 21 kilometer, and this will be about 25 to 65 meters below the surface of the sea. So this is going to be the first undersea tunnel in our country. The first underwater metro was built. This is under the river Hooghly in Kolkata. Any Kolkatans here? What do you think about it? Feel proud? Bhalo achi? Bhalo achi. Good. So this is the first undersea, and then India's biggest transport tunnel. This is in Jammu and Kashmir. Anybody from Jammu and Kashmir here? कैसा लगता है? सुंदर. कैसे बोलेंगे अपनी भाषा में? अपनी भाषा में बोलो यार, कश्मीरी में बोलो.
ये बड़ा असल, बड़ा खुश का साइंस हुई.
क्या बात है? इनके लिए जोर से ताली बजाओ यार. कश्मीरी में बोले. Thank you. One of the things which is very important in railways is the complexity of tunnels is very, very high compared to, let's say, highway or any other sector. Look at the pace at which work is happening. Railways is like 150 plus years old, right? In its entire history, the number of tunnels was 125 kilometers. Entire history of railways. Since its inception, way back. In the last 10 years alone, 370 kilometers of railway tunnels done. That's like having a tunnel all the way from Bangalore to Chennai. That is the pace and scale and scope of the work being done, right? And this is a beautiful Chenab bridge. Amiyast, right? That one. This is our Chenab bridge, now ready. Just tunnel 1 ka thoda sa kaam baki hai. Then rest of the work is practically done. What I want to show here is this bridge done by our own engineers, 35 meters higher than the Eiffel Tower. Right? So it's really complex, really very, very big. It's just like I met Manu Bhaker. She made us proud for the work that she has done, the medal that she has won. She has made the country proud, and this is where our engineers are making the country proud. Give a big round of applause for all the engineers. Thank you. I hope the engineers out there working in Kashmir Valley, they listen to your clap. And if they haven't, I'll make sure that they listen. Great. I'll come to the Vande Bharat trains. Again, the concept here is that we should be able to develop good engineered, nicely engineered products because our engineers are designing for the world. If they are designing for the world, why can't they design for our own country? That was the challenge thrown by our Prime Minister. And the train which has been designed, if you look at many parameters, this train is better than the best in the world. So, the acceleration 0 to 100 kilometers per hour, right? The best in the world is 54 seconds. I won't take names, diplomatic issues, right? So, this one does 0 to 100 in 52 seconds. If you compare the noise level inside this train, compare it with a Boeing or an Airbus, it is 100 times less noise level compared to an aircraft. That's the level of engineering which has gone in it. You must have seen some videos where when we are testing this train at 180 kilometers per hour and we kept a glass of water, the water doesn't spill. ग्लास नहीं हिलता है लेकिन दुनिया हिल जाती है, right? Beautiful train. Now the Vande sleeper has been designed, constructed, and very soon it will start the trials. Very soon, as in within next 7 days, the trials will start. Today already Honorable Prime Minister announced it in his speech. Again, lots and lots of efforts on making sure that we get the trains for all the classes of the society. Because there is a technical challenge when you go beyond 100 kmph speeds, then you can't have non-air conditioned trains. Because the wind, the air envelope which gets created around a train, it will cause lots of air to come inside if the windows are open and the door is open, and the train can become unstable. So that's why for 100 kmph non-air conditioned trains, we have designed a special train called Vande Bharat train. Again, absolutely world-class features, very safe, and made sure that a person who wishes to travel at 450 rupees for 1,500 kilometers. 450 rupees would be how many dollars? what about $4? $5? $5 for a 1,500 kilometer long journey. $5 for a 1,500 kilometer long journey. That is the kind of, that's the thought process that we have, where we have to make sure that every section of the society is getting the best. So this focus continues in the third term. The focus on making sure that the infrastructure, what we want to give to the next generation of our country, we should be able to do that hard work today and make sure that the next generation gets a better country. That's the thinking, and that's why since June 2024, since the elections results came in, already our Prime Minister has approved projects worth 2 trillion rupees. Already projects worth 2 trillion rupees have been approved, and yesterday the Vadhavan Port foundation stone was also laid. So this is in practically every sector, whether it is railway, highway, port, airports, metros, every sector. We are also focusing on creating world-class manufacturing infrastructure. So 12 new industrial smart cities have been approved. I won't walk you through the entire details, but the slides will be available for you. This is Khurpia, Uttarakhand, Punjab, Uttar Pradesh, again Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Maharashtra, Rajasthan, Andhra, Telangana, Kerala, practically every part of the country, and lots of thinking has gone behind this. Whatever we have learned from the past experiences of SEZ, whatever focus we tried to put on DMI, Delhi-Mumbai Industrial Corridor, all those lessons have been incorporated while these projects have been approved. Now I'll come to the digital part of the infrastructure. You're aware of our India stack, which is again a very interesting concept that has been created. The concept is like this: from the public investment, we create a platform. This is the platform. This is an example of the UPI. The same concept can be built over many other things. So we have this platform. Every stakeholder joins this platform, whether they are the banks, the e-wallets, the digital identity is fundamental part of it, merchants, startups, e-commerce, enterprises, and our fellow citizens, the users. So look at the whole concept. Our Prime Minister says, we must make sure that technology reaches every common citizen of the country. We must make sure that our thought process is for democratizing technology. We must make sure that the big tech doesn't have monopoly on technology. We must make sure that every person with a good idea gets an opportunity to test that idea and build something upon it. That's the thought process which has gone behind this kind of architecture. And this architecture is quite unique, very unique. The world is today talking about it. I go in G7, I go in G20, I go in many international forums, and everywhere people say that help us understand how this was possible. Now digital credit is coming in a very big way. Again, the same framework where on the one side the credit providers, on the other side the people who need the credit, and creating a structure in which the payment history becomes the digital capital, that becomes the collateral, that gets securitized, so that the person on the street, the person who's looking for 10,000 rupees loan, is the one for whom the biggest banks would be competing to get that customer. That's the thought process that we are working on. Not just the big industry guys, but the guy on the street is the one for whom all the big lenders will be competing. So that's the construct, that's the thought process behind this entire digital infrastructure. I'll come to the social infrastructure. I said there are 3 parts of infrastructure, right? Physical, digital, and social. So the 3 parts. Social infrastructure is as important as physical infrastructure and digital, because that's where the society gets so deeply impacted. Look at any parameter, whether it is medical colleges, AIIMS, MBBS seats, PG seats, universities, IITs, IIMs. Look at technical university institutes of university level IITs. Everywhere in 10 years, the growth numbers are phenomenal. 82%, 214%, 126%. That's the change, like practically doubling the social infrastructure in 10 years. 10 years doubling is immense, friends. I mean, the effort it requires is tremendous. And our Prime Minister who works 18 hours a day, this is the result, right? I'll come to the second pillar of inclusive growth. I'm sure you have heard a lot about it, but I'll quickly flip through this. The scale of inclusivity, the span of the number of families that we have touched, the kind of lasting impact we have made in their lives, that is what is demonstrated here in very few slides. We all know about the world's biggest vaccination drive. Amazing efficiency, fully digital, and very, very good example of cooperative federalism. 4 crore, which is 40 million houses constructed, 40 million houses constructed for the poor and underprivileged. And now 3 crore, 30 million more houses already approved in the first 100 days of Prime Minister Modi ji's historic third term. That's the change we are bringing in the ordinary person's life. 12 crore toilets. I mean, nobody thought that a Prime Minister would speak from the Red Fort about toilets, about sanitary pads, about cleanliness, but this is a Prime Minister who has come from the grassroots and he understands what is needed at the grassroots level. He doesn't have to go and, get a photo opportunity with somebody to understand the poor families strata, right? He understands it because he has lived that. And that's why this focus on inclusivity. Access to water for 14 crore households. This would be about 140 million, right? That's like every household in US getting a tap water connection. That's the kind of effort that has gone in. 100 million families getting their gas connection, changing their habits of cooking using wood stoves to a gas stove, right? 100 million families. Free ration month after month to 80 crore, 800 million people. 800 million people. Flawless distribution. Imagine in our complexity. Free medical treatment, practically every aspect of the life of a citizen who has been left out of the economic journey for many, many decades is now being touched. That's inclusivity. I don't think there is any other program in the world which is as big in the scale of inclusivity as what Prime Minister Modi ji's first and second term has done. The third pillar of our growth story is focus on manufacturing. We know manufacturing provides jobs and it's a very important segment which has remained neglected for many decades. Many examples are there. One of the examples, part of my responsibility, is mobile phone manufacturing. We all know from practically minuscule to a large number today, almost 50 billion plus, and almost 99.1% of all the mobile phones that we use in India are today made in India. And this year, Apple will be manufacturing their latest model in India. Right? So that's the drive up the learning curve. That's the way things have evolved. Electronics manufacturing, again, gone up to 105. The number is wrongly written here. It's 105 billion US. And now we are going for the component ecosystem. We are preparing a program where the component ecosystem can also now come in the way electronics and mobile manufacturing has come in. Electronics exports once again have become the top 5 items in the entire export basket of India. So the employment in manufacturing, semiconductors again, something that we wanted to do since 1960. 1962 to be precise, when Prime Minister Nehruji was the Prime Minister that time. Since that time, we have been trying to do. Finally, we succeeded in Prime Minister Modiji's term after 60 years. And today we have 4 units which are under construction at this point of time. And again, we are looking at complete ecosystem. We are just not looking at the fab, but we're looking at design, fab, ATMP, creating the talent pool and making sure that the entire supply ecosystem comes to India. I'm sure you have seen practically every part of the ecosystem we are bringing here. By now, we have signed MOUs with 113 universities, where we are providing the EDA tools, and we are making sure that the course curriculum is current, it is as per today's technologies and needs. Time is running out, I must be fast. Right? Construction is going at very fast pace. I'll come to the 4th pillar, which is simplification. Very huge focus on simplification, and many examples are there. I know that we need to do a lot more on this, and this is like something which we need to continue to have a laser sharp focus. But some of the examples are, in the case of telecom tower, the average time it used to take was 236 days for getting the permission. The average time that is required today is 7 days. Imagine the journey from where we were and where we are now, right? That's the kind of pace at which work has happened. Close to 1,500 laws have been removed from the statute book. Many new comprehensive laws have been brought, but a lot more to be done on this front, right? I would like to end with a thought in the audience, especially the global audience. We are a very young nation today. Our median age is 37 years. We have a large workforce which basically is very young, very amenable to new talent, amenable to skilling, learning. By the time we reach 100 years of our independence, 2047, we will continue to remain a very young age, young population, with a median age of 37 years. What I want to tell you is that the next 25 years and the years beyond that, those are the decades of India. Those are the years when the best of our country has to come. The foundation that Prime Minister Modi ji has laid in the last 10 years and the hard work that we will be putting in these 5 years, our Prime Minister has given us a challenge. This is the 3rd term. हमें 3 गुना ज़्यादा मेहनत करनी है. We must work 3 times, we must put 3 times more effort than what we have put in the last 10 years. And I request all of you to be a part of this journey. I request each one of you, each one of your organizations, to join our Prime Minister's call for putting in 3 times more effort. Ready for that? Are you ready for that? Please stand up and give a strong answer to this if you are ready for the 3 times extra hard work. Are you ready for that? Are you ready for that? Thank you very much. When you are ready for that, the country will continue to grow in the 6 to 8% band, more on the upper side of it, right? More on the upper side of it. And I can say that with 95% confidence interval. My professor in business statistics said, never give a number without a confidence interval. Great. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Shri Ashwini Vaishnaw ji, thank you so much for sharing your insights, sir, on how digital innovation is driving India's progress. Let's move on, Cyrus.
Absolutely, and we're very grateful for the vision that Sir has outlined and the passion that you have brought to making a real difference in the lives of millions of people. Yep. A big round of applause for Shri Ashwini Vaishnaw ji and the wonderful conversation that he had on stage with all of us. With that, next up, we're diving into a conversation about the incredible potential within India. How we can unlock opportunities and truly empower a billion dreams. With so much energy and talent, India is on the brink of something extraordinary.
And to help us explore how to make the most of this moment, we have an amazing panel of leaders. Let's give a warm welcome to Gautam Singhania, Chairman and Managing Director of Raymond Limited, Rohit Java, MD and CEO President, Unilever South Asia, and CEO and Managing Director, Hindustan Unilever Limited, William Bizel, MD Fab India, and Preeta Reddy, Executive Vice Chairperson of Apollo Hospitals. Please give them a warm welcome.
Thank you all so much for being here. We are super excited to hear this wonderful conversation. And leading this discussion is Kaushika Madhavan, Asia Pacific leader, AT Kearney, who will be basically guiding us through the strategies and innovations that can drive India's future. Please join me in welcoming them all on this stage for what's sure to be an incredible and inspiring conversation. Thank you all so much.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Really looking forward to the conversation with a fantastic panel. Topic we have is India opportunity, empowering a billion dreams. So you might ask and wonder, why should we empower a billion dreams? I asked the question to myself, and then the lyrics of a famous song came, and I'm going to read the lyrics, and then we'll talk a little bit about it. Every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head. A million dreams are keeping me awake. I think of what the world could be, a vision of the one I see. A million dreams is all it's gonna take. This is the P.T. Barnum, Greatest Showman on Earth story. We all saw Hugh Jackman sing to this. But there's another interesting and famous American who made a speech that he had a dream, and that changed the course of the country, the USA. So empowering dreams are super important, and we're going to now have our panelists talk about India aspiration and opportunity to empower these dreams. We couldn't have asked for a better panel. Any aspiration for future for a developed India would have feeling good, looking good, and being healthy. And the organizations they are from pretty much help Indians achieve all of this. So we'll start off with asking each of them to share their India opportunity aspirations in empowering dreams. I'll start off with Gautam.
Sure, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Raymond is a company that fulfills dreams. I mean, one of the most important things we do is dress you up for your marriage, and your marriage is one of your big dreams. But India is a country of opportunities, and I remember 3-4 years ago when a lot of Indians were leaving India and going away, and somebody said to me, Gautam, why don't you leave and go away to Dubai and go here and there? And I said, I don't want to leave this beautiful country. This is a country which has got 1.4 billion people. It's got the youngest, average age of 30 years of age. And we are the country that's growing at the fastest pace. Why would I want to leave this country? This is a country of opportunity. It's a country of dreams. And I'm sure if 1.4 billion people can dream and align their dreams, I think we can become the best nation in the world. And Prime Minister has made a vision for 2047. I think we will be the most powerful nation in the world by then. So I think aligning our dreams and dreaming big, I think, to dream is for free. So let's all dream, and let's all dream big.
Thank you, Gautam. Maybe I'll go to Preeta next to share her aspirations and dreams.
I prepared quite a bit before coming on stage. And then there was this minister's speech, which we all heard. A lot of the work is actually done. If we follow all those dreams, I think we would have empowered more than 1 billion people in our country. So thank you for asking me that. My role here is about keeping people healthy. And healthy means economic prosperity and then, of course, the wellness of your bodies. And I think that's a responsibility we all have to do. And while doing that, we must be very cognizant of the fact that 2047 is actually a watershed moment for our country. And if all the plans go the way they are, I think all the dreams will come true, definitely. And having said that, the only thing which we have to do is the dreams are there, the plans are there, the infrastructure is created. But to achieve that, I think we have to think, we have to think skilling, we have to think innovation, we have to think about the environment. And I think these are the plans which everyone sitting in the room has to focus on, is that to make the dreams come true, there are multiple steps. How do each one of us contribute to the multiple steps? I come from a healthcare background, and all these years, for 41, 42 years, we were trying to see how do we intervene for illness. How do we, make people better when they come to us, and how do we build infrastructure for hospitals? We've kind of flipped now, and we have a clear mandate saying how do we keep people out of hospitals? How do we keep people healthy? Because that's a greater responsibility, and can we do that for the rest of the world? So I think that's the way we are moving. That's the opportunity to work towards keeping people healthy and become a back office for keeping people healthy for the rest of the world. So that's my dream.
Thank you. And keeping people well, wellness before health, fantastic transition. Rohit, your thoughts?
Yeah, let me first start by saying how inspired I was with the Honorable Ministers painting the vision of the new India, but also where we've come from. I think it's breathtaking, the level of transformation, and we are all lucky and fortunate to be in this moment of history when the only transformational story in the world of this epic scale is India. And we can see the opportunity that lies ahead of us. You saw how over the last 10 years, the physical and the digital infrastructure, social infrastructure has improved dramatically. And what this has done is that it's opened up the minds and hearts of every Indian. And if you travel around, as I did, we as Hindustan Unilever sell to almost every household, sell to almost 9-10 million outlets in every part of the country. And our consumer lives in the heart of the country. And I was very fortunate to see that with the open up of the information, the lack of asymmetry, everybody has the same access to the information, the same dreams, the same aspirations. So they know what exactly is going on in a big city, what's going on in the world. So the aspiration, the dreams of every Indian has been absolutely unleashed. And the job we have to do as companies and as governments is to essentially ensure that we offer products, services that improves the quality of their lives, because they want to grow. And I was absolutely blown by a small group discussion I had in a panchayat on a rainy afternoon in a village with some young people, just to understand, who are these rural youth? And I'm telling you, I was fascinated by, these are people who have, one of them wanted to be an engineer, one of them wanted to be actually open a business for some sort of plates. The other one was a teacher who had access to the Lama 3 on the WhatsApp already and was teaching children in the school. The other lady wanted to be a banking professional. So this is people who live in the village, who have the same dreams, same aspiration to be an MBA, to be a professional cricketer. So the country has opened up this amazing aspiration, the desire to get a better quality of life. And we as players in this ecosystem need to now make that happen. And what's good for India is good for HUL. And the role we perform then is to how do we make sure the best of home care, personal care, foods, most healthy, most delightful products and experiences are at the arm's length, at an affordable price for every citizen of this country.
Lovely. Technology democratizing even the dreams, right? Everyone's wanting to get the best of the worlds. Fantastic. We'll come to you, William. Your perspectives on the India opportunity and empowering dreams.
So thank you, Kaushika. I have a sort of two personal stories to relate. They're not about the dreams of 1 billion people, but they're dreams of my dreams, actually. And when I was starting off in business, I had the incredibly good fortune of meeting and getting to know Dr. Pratap Reddy. And Dr. Pratap Reddy was an incredible inspiration to me in my life because he had come back from America and wanted to set up hospitals across the country to give people in India the best medical care possible. And in my conversations with him, he would always pick up my hand and put it on his heart and say, listen, if I can do it, you can do it. And I was running a very small business at that time, and it kind of gave me the ability to dream big. And he said, to me something very important. He said, you know, if you're going to dream big, you need to learn how to inspire people so that you can infect them with your dream. And I just thought I'd share that story with you. And I then went off to live in a village for a couple of years, and really my Hindi at that time was very poor, but whenever I'd need company, I would always meet these young guys who were working for HUL, and they were being sent to the most remote place to work and learn the trade. And you know, they had been to the kind of schools I went to, and we had a lot in common, and I would chat with them and get to know them, and they were also big dreamers. And today, every single consumer company in India, I think every single consumer company has either an HUL person at the top on the number 2 position. So not only did they dream big for HUL, but they also, I think, seeded the whole industry. I mean, I go to small places and I say, oh yeah, he said, no, I did my training at HUL and created this. So I think we're in the middle of a really exciting period where we are going from a kind of unbranded environment, a consumer environment, to a branded consumer environment. Now this process first started with regular consumer goods. I remember when I lived in the village, soap was made locally and came in all shapes and sizes, and then brands started coming in and brands mastered distribution, and the same process is happening across the industry. I mean, we're in the midst of 1 billion people moving from unbranded retail to branded retail, unbranded products to branded products, and there's a kind of consistency and a quality that comes with that, and it's an exciting period. It's a great time.
Lovely. I mean, inspiring stories, and you know, Dr. P.C. Reddy inspiring you to be in India. Fantastic. Now, all of us have talked about the opportunity of India. We all aspire to, you know, India to be a developed country. Now, getting there, and Preeta, you already touched a little bit upon getting there, is important to do it in a very balanced, what we call as regenerative way. We need to take the communities along. We need to take the society along. And I mean, the last year was the first year when every day the temperatures recorded in the recorded history were higher than average, right? So it's very important for us to be responsible as well to the environment. So how are you and your organizations pursuing these aspirations while being regenerative, while contributing actively to the good of the society? We'll probably go in the reverse order. William, I'm going to ask you to share some anecdotes of taking the community along, environmental impact, whatever you would like to, in pursuing this aspiration.
Thank you. It's a tough question because the West was there first and they got a chance to pollute the earth. Now they're saying to countries that are coming along that, look, we need to preserve the earth. It makes the development challenge harder because countries that earlier would go up the carbon cycle very quickly as a means to development have various now fetters to growth. I think it represents an opportunity also, but I do think it requires a change in the global environment, and I think the global south, led by Prime Minister Modi, has made that point that, listen, you guys, you had the first code polluting the world, now we need to change the rules of the game a little bit, because if you don't change the rules of the game, it makes raising the next billion people out of poverty much harder.
Thank you. And maybe Rohit, some anecdotes from how you are pursuing the opportunity?
Yeah, first I just want to paint the opportunity a little bit because, as you said, you know, this is the time of India. We are 2,500 per capita, going to 20,000. So clearly every category in this country is going to grow dramatically. CPG, where close to my heart, we have a $50 per capita at the moment consumption, and categories we play. If you look at rural, it's more like 25, and urban is about 80. And all neighboring countries in the range of 5 or 6 times Thailand, Indonesia, so I'm not even going beyond. So there's going to be multiplier of opportunity in CPG, but also all industries. Because consumers want to go up from unbranded to branded to more value-added products and services, and we must make that available. So I think the first thing is that the opportunity is exciting, but it's got to be slightly differently operated. And which is where, you know, we are in, all the work that we do has to have that aspect of, okay, are we doing something that's positive, creating a positive impact? And I just wanted, because he talked about HUL and villages, and it just struck me to give you an example. So when I joined as a trainee 36 years ago, I spent 2 months in ETA and lived in the village and did the social development, making, you know, pakka roads and kharanjas and padanjas and wells, and worked with the government. This is 36 years ago in my own life. Very, very strong stint. Now that idea was from one of our other leaders, the chairman at that time, about integrated rural development in INATA. Now we have, so many years later, transplanted that idea of integrated rural development to make sure the communities around our factories are also getting positively impacted in what is called Prabhat. It's a different name, same thing. Now we have 28 factories, 18 of them have Prabhat. We've touched 10 million people. A large portion of that in livelihood creation because they need skills as well. Also for things like sanitation and so on and so forth. So each factory has its own specific. So in our own way, where we make stuff, we want to make a positive impact to the communities around us. And we're going to keep scaling that because there's no end. There's a lot of work to be done. The second example I want to give you is about Shakti, which is our rural woman entrepreneur program. Started 20 years ago, went through various evolutions. And I've gone and met in my stint, I've come back after 20 years as it happens, coincidentally. The last 1 year I met Shakti entrepreneurs in 2 or 3, 4 states. And what I see is absolutely transformational. We have 200,000 women who run HUL distribution ship in rural areas. They cover outlets around themselves. They've now become highly economically literate. They have built Pakka homes. They have got all of these things that the minister was talking about. They are digitally fluent. They use our app to order. They're also change makers in their own society. So we use their leadership to, for instance, teach better nutrition to the people in the villages. So this is 200,000 strong, 80% GDP per capita. So top villages where we have this now deeply established. And this, we could take this platform to the next level. So it's these 2 examples that give me the confidence that the way it's done in India can be both good for the consumer, but also good for the society.
Thank you. Yeah. Very nice examples. Preeta, some anecdotes from your...
So one of the things I wanted to say is that as an industry, 4% of carbon emissions actually comes from healthcare. And this is a figure which, has come up over the past 3 to 4 years because we sit on an international body, a group, trying to see how can we cut that. So that's a responsibility issue. We're meeting in Geneva next week. And I think healthcare should become responsible because you have to keep people well. We're doing that. The second thing is that we have taken 100,000 lives in a village where my father comes from, which is near Chittoor, Aragonda, and tried to see how can we impact them. So mental interventions for, happiness, women empowerment, because there's so much of talk about women, but we realize that once the women actually are skilled to take money home, they are treated, of course, much better, but they become a voice. So the level of alcoholism went down in the village. So, we have data which now the WHO has to prove it. So we've done multiple interventions, including nutrition, care for the aged, everything which you want to do, which you dream about, and skilling the youth for future. So this has become a playbook which, the McKinsey Health Institute has now made it a replicable model. So we're doing it in about 8 African countries, 3 in the villages of Rajasthan, 2 in UP. And I think if we can get this right, that would make a difference. And it's all about making a difference, just being a responsible Indian, I guess.
I hope we get it right. We'll go to Gautam.
So I'd like to share something different. I mean, you talked about what's the future, the growth, and I strongly come from a thought where we need to have inclusive growth. We got to take India with us. And a lot of India is poor, so I'll tell you 2 things that our group is doing, and I'm very passionate about it. The first is that the Indian cattle gives 4 liters of milk a day, and that's where the income comes for most of the farmers and below the poverty line. We do crossbreeding of Holstein Friesian cattle with the Indian cattle, and we go from village to village and do artificial insemination so that the next generation of cattle that's born is now delivering 20 liters of milk. And that's what's that's doing is that it's giving the farmer 5 times the amount of income in his hand. He's able to build a home, he's able to get his daughter married, he's able to go and buy a Lever's product, and that's the future of India. I'm proud to say that today we have delivered almost 3 million cattle, so we've changed 3 million lives. Wow. The second thing, which is again very close to my heart, and it's a very interesting story, 55 years ago, my aunt was involved in a car crash and she passed away. And we got 1 lakh rupees from insurance, and the family said that we're never going to use this money. And we put it into education. We had a factory, and we put it into education, and we said we'll educate the guy on the loom. And so somebody who worked on the loom, we educate his child, and the next generation became a doctor, inventor. And today, I'm proud to say that we educate 25,000 children in our schools. We're the #1 educational institute in India, and I have made myself a personal promise that I will educate 100,000 children a day before we die.
Wow.
So that's something we're very proud of.
So lovely examples of pursuing the India opportunity while simultaneously taking the society and the communities along. We have 3 minutes, so one last rapid fire response. What is one enabler that India needs to put in place, both to realize the opportunity that we outlined, as well as taking people along? Maybe Rohit, I'll start with you and go in a different order this time.
So we saw that median age is 27, 20% of the working age population in the world is going to come from India. Great demographic opportunity, we all know that. The most important thing to be done right now is to improve the employability of our youth so they have the jobs through which they can have incomes that they can then create consumption and other associated value chains. So
Skill India, skill building. William?
I would second skill building.
Lovely. Gautam and then Preeta.
So I have 2 points. 1, believe in your country, and 2, dream. I think if 1.4 billion people can dream, we can do it.
Lovely. And Preeta?
It's definitely about the youth because they're tomorrow. Training, skilling, employability. But really, where have all the teachers gone? That seems to be a problem. So I think we need to figure that out. And as a country, if we can really empower the teachers, respect the teaching staff, give them the kind of economic, bandwidth or prosperity, then I think teaching becomes
attractive.
And we're finding that a problem. So I would say that.
So very well said. Dream big, skill up India, and take care of the teachers to skill up India. Fantastic thoughts. Since we are on the topic of dream, I just want to close this by recalling Sri APJ Abdul Kalam. He said on dream, dream is not something we see when we are asleep, but dream is something that keeps us awake till we achieve it. You saw all the aspirations and the way our leaders are taking aspirations as well as fulfilling the dreams. A big round of applause for their generosity of time and sharing of their ideas. Thank you so much.
So how's the energy going? Yep, this is the best table. We always get the best. Is everyone doing is it the afternoon siesta mood, or is everyone ready for the next panel? Let's hear you. Everyone's ready to have a good time. Okay, Cyrus, you can forget those Bonvita lessons now. Well, that was one inspiring discussion, and it's pretty clear to us now that the opportunities in India are vast, and the potential to empower 1 billion dreams is within reach. A huge thank you to all our panelists for sharing their insights and experiences. It's been wonderful.
Absolutely. And it is so exciting to see how these leaders are truly driving change and innovation across our country. A big thanks to Kaushika for moderating such a lively and thought-provoking conversation. I can't thank them all enough.
Yep.
Thank you for such a lovely chat.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, up next, we are really excited to bring you a fireside chat that promises to be both insightful and inspiring. We are thrilled to welcome Kelly Mahon Tullier, Vice Chair, Chief People and Corporate Affairs Officer at Visa.
Kelly Mahon Tullier is the Vice Chair and Chief People and Corporate Affairs Officer at Visa, where she oversees a range of functions including people management, communications, government engagement, sustainability, and corporate services. That's 1,100 things more than I do. A seasoned leader, Kelly was pivotal in Visa's $23 billion acquisition of Visa Europe and has nearly 2 decades of experience at PepsiCo in a senior legal position across various markets. She is committed to expanding financial inclusion and digital payments with a special focus on markets like India, where Visa is fostering innovation and supporting local communities and women entrepreneurs.
Today, Kelly is going to speak about the new paradigm of payments, exploring the transformative power of digital payments in India. She is going to discuss how Visa is partnering with local stakeholders and they are going to promote financial inclusion and support small businesses, as well as highlight Visa's advancement in cybersecurity and fraud prevention. Moderating this engaging discussion is Arijit Burman, Associate Editor at the Economic Times. Please join me in warmly welcoming Kelly Mahon Tullier and Arijit Burman to the stage for what promises to be a really enlightening conversation.
Over to you both. Very excited for this chat.
Welcome, Kelly, and welcome, Arijit.
Thanks, Iris. Thanks, Minnie. Kelly, we'll go straight away into understanding. I believe you had a very interesting session just before coming to New Delhi. You were in Mumbai. I thought you would be at the Global FinTech Summit, but instead you were meeting very interesting women entrepreneurs. Why? I mean, that was a little interesting nugget that I picked up.
Thank you so much, Arijit. It's great to be here. Hello, everybody. Happy to be part of this amazing forum and talk about the great work that Visa is doing. Yes, I landed earlier this week in Mumbai, where our offices are. We also have offices in Bangalore, where we have our tech center and around 4,000 people. And we also have offices in Mumbai. So I had the honor of landing there. No, I did not get to go to the FinTech Summit. I would have loved to, but my great Visa colleagues were there showcasing our innovation with our partners in the FinTech space. Instead, though, I was meeting with our employees. Of course, I'm the Chief People Officer at Visa, amongst other things, which was wonderful for me. I love to spend time with our employees, understand what's going on with them, and make sure that we're providing the absolute best work experience for everybody who works for Visa in India and around the world. And then I also had a really special experience, which I was sharing with you. I am also have the honor to be the chair of Visa's foundation. And I oversee our inclusive impact work around the world. And in that role, I get amazing opportunities. And what we do at Visa is we partner with different organizations. In this case, I met with United Way of Mumbai. And one of the programs that we have originated with United Way of Mumbai is focusing on women entrepreneurs. And we've invested together and created a wonderful program that reaches out to women in this country to find out what their opportunities are, where they would like to work. And we together provide training and the tools to bring women entrepreneurs into the digital economy and be able to facilitate their businesses. And we find, and what I learned in that meeting was the women that we have helped, and it's more than 10,000 women so far, and we just begun this program. What happens is they start to enter the workforce, they start to earn money, they earn real revenue. Then they start to hire other women in their businesses. They make sure their children are getting better educated and build the communities together. It was a wonderful meeting where I heard about the real impact that our work together in India is having on the community and on these women. And then they had a special surprise for me at the end of the meeting. And they brought in a woman named Shireen, who had never earned income before, but she got into this program and we taught her in ways that she could understand how to manage her money, how to actually engage in commerce. And she brought me some of the products that she had made. She brought a beautiful embroidered briefcase for my laptop. She was thinking about me with the Visa logo on it, as well as a little purse. Wow. And she was so lovely, and I got to give her a big hug, and I'll get teared up, but she got tears in her eyes and said, "Thank you for what you're doing for my life, for my family, and for my community. This is the best part of my job by far."
This is interesting because for most of us, Visa is all about a credit card, a debit card, but you're actually talking about things which many of us didn't know that Visa had an interest in.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, Visa is so much more than a credit card. Yes, it began as a credit card, and I like to tell the story of the origins of the Visa brand, actually. Dee Hock, our founder, it's a lovely story because he decided he wanted to name the product, and he went to the employees of Visa and he ran a contest. What a great way to name a product, to go to your employees who love your product and are so proud of it. And he solicited the input, and they chose the name Visa. Why did they choose the name Visa? Because it's meant to take you where you want to go in your life. It's very symbolic. The name means I can go where I want to because Visa will be by my side. When I want to go on a trip, when I want to engage in a new experience, when I want to go to school, when I want to change my life, Visa is meant to go with me on that journey every step of the way. And you know, the purpose of Visa is very specific. It's to uplift everyone, everywhere, by being the best way to pay and be paid. So a couple of concepts in there. We want to uplift the world by empowering them from being engaged in the digital economy, certainly, by being the best way to pay and be paid. And that does not necessarily mean through a card. Card is how it began, but so much innovation has happened in this space that's been incredible. We see it here in India, obviously, with UPI and real-time payment networks and the amazing work that's been done with the India stack. Payments are all about innovation. I like to tell a story that when I was 15 years old, I had my first experience with payments. I had an after-school job. I'd go across the street, and I was in a candy store. Sold candy. A lot of it was with cash back then. I'm not going to tell you how long ago that was, but it was some time. But we were actually taking payment in cards back then. It was fairly new. And if somebody came in with a card, what I had to do as a 15-year-old was go under the desk, pull up this big book. Think about a telephone book with all of these numbers in it. Does anybody remember that? So you would go in the book, look for the number to see if that card had been a suspect of fraud. And if the number was in there, I couldn't accept the payment. So I would do that. And it's kind of funny, though. You think about 15-year-old me being like the keeper of fraud. I'm making sure nothing's going wrong on the payments network. I don't know if that's a good idea, but that's how it worked. And then I would pull out this other machine, and I would imprint that card. Remember that? You'd swipe it, scrape your knuckles along the way. Then you take a piece of paper, and you would put it into the cash register, almost like cash. So that was what I experienced, my first experience with payments early on. Think of where we've gotten today with so much of the experience with payments is digital. It's on the phone, it's on a mobile device, it's with a QR code, which you see here in India. And I had the great pleasure when I was in Mumbai of actually going out to shop. Yeah, I like to shop. Everywhere I go in the world, I like to experience our products. So there's nothing like getting out there and seeing what a consumer and a merchant experiences with your product, so that when you go home, you think about that. And I saw it in the marketplace here.
Did you experience a sound box?
And
what do you make of it?
It was fascinating to me because I'd heard about Soundbox, and obviously I'd heard about the QR code. And when I was here last, you know, I saw some of it. And when I was here before the pandemic, obviously, it was beginning. But to actually see it in action at a small merchant, and to see how easy it was to use the QR code, and then to have the sound box communicate to the gentleman who was operating the kiosk to say the transaction had gone through, so he didn't have to stop what he was doing. He could listen and know, and how easy it was just with the QR code. Amazing technology, amazing developments. It was really fascinating to me.
I know everyone talks about, you know, the growth of fintech, the India stack, probably exporting the India stack to other countries. But if I step back, India still is a $1 trillion cash economy. Now, how can Visa help facilitate, you know, digitizing all that cash?
Thank you. So, so it seems like about half the payments now are remaining cash. It's been a great journey, a huge acceleration of bringing people into the digital economy. Financial inclusion is amazing in this country. The way we think about that is that's wonderful. Get people into the digital economy. Start using electronic payments is very good. But there's a journey beyond that. Once you get them into digital commerce, then you want to accelerate their growth and continue their empowerment through products that we might be able to provide, lines of credit, other ways for them to grow in what they're doing. So that's one thing certainly that we think about is being a partner there. And then it is going after the cash that remains out there and being a partner to the government to make sure that we get as many people into the digital economy as we possibly can, because we believe financial inclusion is so important to economic growth for the individual and for the country.
And even for Visa, India is a very big innovation hub, not just for India, but even for the world.
Yeah,
Tell us what's happening in Bangalore or Bangalore in the Bangalore campus.
Bangalore, and again, I was there last year. I'm so proud. Last year in that campus, we had 3,000 people, engineers, technologists, developing innovation for the world from Bangalore. This year, we have 4,000 people. Tremendous growth, amazing people. I love them. A lot of amazing women in our workforce in Bangalore. I'm really proud. But they develop great innovation there that we transport around the world. You and I were talking about one of the products recently that they've developed, and it's about a flexible product. And this was in cooperation and partnership with a Japanese client who they felt their consumers wanted choice. They wanted to have one product, but they could toggle back and forth between credit or debit, or maybe buy now, pay later, other ways of paying, but they wanted it on one product. Innovation that was developed in Bangalore that we now have actually introduced in Japan, we've introduced in the United States, and we'll take to other places around the world. Our innovation hub here is a really important tech hub for us around the world.
So you mean to say that there are now cards where the consumer actually decides when he or she is making a transaction whether to use it as a debit card or use the same card as a credit card?
Right, the same product, whether it's on your phone or on a physical card. But imagine you're going shopping and today you want to buy a soda, I had to say that, a soda, and you want to use your debit card for that. It's not an expensive product. But tomorrow you want to go and buy a cashmere wrap, and that costs more money, so you want to actually use your credit product for that. Instead of having to choose between different products, you can just press a button if it's on your device and choose which of those sources of funds you'd like to choose. It's just a great example of the innovation that's coming out of our tech hub here.
That's very
Consumer choice. It's all about consumer choice.
Yeah, now that gives me the cue to ask you that in India, we have a very large cohort who are coming into the credit system for the first time. Now, we've seen how buy now, pay later, BNPL, has exploded around the world, including India. Now, on one side, we have this exponential growth, but on the other side, the regulators, central banks around the world, are a little skeptical about this growth without proper guardrails. So how do you balance risk and innovation?
Right. So, I think with any new product, the regulators will look at it and make sure that it's safe, it's fit for purpose, and we love that consumers can have choice amongst the products that I talked about, including buy now, pay later. But when it comes to regulatory environment, I think that we and government all have the same ultimate objective. Whatever the method of payment is, we all want that method of payment to be fast, to be secure, to be easy to use for our consumers and for our merchants all around the world. Same objective. So we understand and we partner closely on all regulation and everything that comes out.
On the other side of the spectrum is this huge world of remittances. We have a global Indian workforce. They are working all over the world, but they need to send money home. It needs to be safe, secure, and fast. Now, where does Visa come in vis-a-vis building the safe rail infrastructure, if I can draw a parallel?
Thank you. There's so many things that we're developing outside of what you think is your typical consumer to merchant payment, and remittances is certainly one of those, B2B, business cards, et cetera. Lots of opportunity for us. When it comes to remittances, like you said, very important to India. There's a lot of remittances coming into this country and going out. And the most important thing about remittances is that they are safe and secure and fast and get to where they need to go. We have a product that we've developed called Visa Direct. And Visa Direct can send money between an account to a card, different ways of sending money on another payment network. Visa Direct is agnostic, but can make sure that the money gets to where it needs to go safely and securely, whether that's within India, in and out of India for sure. I'm sure many of you, like me, I have a son in college, and I feel like every day he calls me and asks me for more money. maybe every other day, but it's a common question. Mom, something else I want to buy, can you send? And I make sure I give it to him measured amounts, because God knows what he would do if I gave him too much money at once. So I'm regularly sending him money. Visa Direct is a great way to do that.
Mm-hmm. You talked about your experience as a 15-year-old girl, and when you were managing the counter, and you would take out this massive telephone directory kind of a book, and the whole purpose was fraud, or to actually curb that. Now, it's data security or security of financial services or transactions becoming far more important, and it gets a whole new dimension in the digital world. The crimes are getting sophisticated, the actors are getting sophisticated. How do companies like Visa deal with this?
Thank you. The Visa brand stands for, first and foremost, trust. And that trust has to be that when you use our product that's with our brand, you know that the money is going to be safe and secure and get to where you want it to go. And the merchant can receive the money safely and securely and know that he's going to get it. It's hugely important to us. And a big part of that is cybersecurity and fraud detection now. We invest billions and billions of dollars to fight the bad guys, as you talked about, and they're getting more and more of them. They're getting more and more sophisticated. And that's what we devote ourselves to make sure that we actually develop a way of detection that prevents that from happening to people around the world. I was just telling the story about the newest round of fraud attacks that we're seeing in the United States right now is back to school time. And so moms are getting messages and calls, and they're being asked to actually fund school supplies. It's the teacher calling and saying, Bobby needs this much in supplies. You need to send the money here right now. And moms, we feel very guilty about all these things, and we quickly react and say, oh, the teacher needs the money. I'm going to get the money there. It's fraud. And so at Visa, we invest in tools to detect that fraud, to prevent that fraud. In fact, in the last year, we detected $40 billion worth of fraud amongst our bank clients and prevented that from happening in the ecosystem through the technology and tools that we have.
$40 billion?
$40 billion worth of fraud avoided.
Wow. And, what you're saying is very interesting, because that's exactly what's happening in India as well. I mean, those calls that mothers or moms are getting, it's the same thing that's happening. So, I mean, every day, and senior citizens, they are also very, very vulnerable.
Yeah, and I think, and Visa is a global network, so through our data, we see these things happening and we can act on them and prevent them from happening. I think another important part of this too is you have more Indian consumers coming into the digital payments world and digital economy. It's a wonderful thing to be in there, but the other thing is to make sure that you're very included. So we really do focus on education as well as our tools and technology that avoids the fraud, but making sure that we educate consumers on the right way to use the products and avoid that fraud from happening.
Do you think tokenism will help in this endeavor?
Absolutely. Tokenization is so important, and this is the way of protecting yourself in an e-commerce environment. So ultimately, the way I think about it is the card number is shielded. So it's not there. So a hacker can't get in there and take that number when your number is tokenized. And I love what the RBI did here in India, mandated tokenization for card not present, as we call them, transactions. Visa was right there as a partner and made sure that we had the vast majority of cards that were card not present tokenized as quickly as possible, and I'm really proud of that. It's a great example of public-private partnership and regulation that, again, is about achieving the same objective: safe and secure transactions, number one.
Yeah, and it's not just senior citizens or mothers or who are vulnerable. The other segment are this huge ecosystem of small and medium enterprises. Their needs are unique. And they're not as sophisticated as large corporations in terms of building these guardrails. Visa, I believe, has a very extensive program or products catered for this, the small and medium industries.
Absolutely.
And entrepreneurs.
Absolutely. And 70% of the world's businesses are small businesses. And they employ about 50% of the people. They're a huge part of the global economy. So of course, as a payment network, we're going to focus on enabling small businesses to thrive. And so we create products specifically for them that meet them where they are. That's that whole uplift everyone everywhere by being the best way to pay and be paid. Understanding what the needs are and tailoring our products so that it helps them grow their businesses. I'll give you an example. If a small business has a business card with us, they may not want to have travel rewards or access to a lounge or cinema tickets. They may need things like access to insurance for their business or for their employees. That's the type of thing that our small business products can provide, but they're very tailored depending on where we are, what the market need is. That's how we innovate and create.
Or maybe cloud solutions or any other.
Or cloud solutions, or they want to now sell their products on the internet. How do they get onto the internet? How do they achieve a gateway and cloud services? We can provide those services as well.
And, you talked about innovation, we talked about, how you're working with different stakeholders. Overall for Visa is present, across the world. I want to end this conversation by asking you, in the overall Visa ecosystem, where is India today? Is it just a hub for innovation, for human capital, or it's far more strategic?
It's far more strategic for us. We've been in India for 40 years. We want to be here for another 100 years. We want to innovate and grow the payment system together with the government of India for the very long time. And we love the innovation that comes here. We have a lot of fintech partners. We love how creative and innovative India is, and we can work together to create new products that'll make payment systems better, not only here in India, but all around the world.
It's truly fascinating to learn that, right from Bangalore, there are products for Japan, for probably even Brazil, where you're present.
All over the world.
All over the world. Kelly, truly it was, an eye-opener for me, I'm sure even for the audience, to learn that it's not just about credit or debit. These form factors don't matter anymore. It's a seamless digital world, payments, and Visa is here for this new paradigm.
We're thrilled to be here, uplift everyone everywhere by being the best way to pay and be paid.
Thank you.
You, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you both so much.
Thank you so much, Kelly, for sharing your experiences, insights. It was wonderful, your perspective on leadership. I'm so glad you're waiting to listen to what we have to
Thank
say.
you, Kelly.
Thank you, Kelly.
I have just seen people walk away from me all day. It's beautiful. Thank you.
Well, it was a wonderful chat. We're really enjoying them backstage, and we get to hear all of them. So thank you so much. A big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
And of course, a big thank you. I've seen him in action over the years many times. A big thank you to Arijit for guiding such an engaging conversation. Loads of love and a big thank you to the both of you. And with that, what's up next, Mini?
Up next, we still got it right? Everyone's up and about?
Yes.
Cups of coffee going around? Does
Two gentlemen have cartwheeled to show how they feel about the day.
All right, up next, we are diving into a topic that's reshaping the world of technology. I'm talking about AI. And now I'm sure everyone's perked up and sat up because it's going to be an exciting one. Who better to talk about it than someone who's been fascinated by software development ever since he was a kid in Germany?
That's right. We're excited to welcome Thomas Domke, CEO of, am I getting it right? GitHub. GitHub is the correct term. GitHub. Now, Thomas has led some amazing innovations, including the launch of GitHub Co-pilot, the first large-scale AI developer tool. Before GitHub, he co-founded Hockey App and steering it through its acquisition by Microsoft. Today, he is here to talk about how AI can play a transformative role in shaping India's future. This is going to be super exciting. Keep your notebook out and give a very warm welcome to Thomas Domke.
Thomas Domke, everybody. All eyes on you.
Thomas, thank you so much for being here. We're very excited to hear all that you have to say. Thank you.
Very warm welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. Friends, colleagues, leaders of the Economic Times and members of the Indian government. Normally, this is the part where I say, I'm Thomas and I'm a developer. But this is one of the few times in my life that I'm speaking to a room that is not full of software engineers.
So for those that don't know me, I'm Thomas and I'm the CEO of GitHub. And you can think of me as the chief of the world's computer nerds. GitHub is the largest platform of software developers on earth. It's where more than 100 million developers collaborate to write code for almost every organization on the planet every single day. Your organizations, I guarantee you, run on code built on GitHub. And I'm truly honored to be here today representing those 100 million nerds at this incredible gathering of world leaders. I grew up in East Berlin before the wall fell. When I was 11 years old, I fell in love with computers and the art of programming. Never in my life did I imagine that a computer nerd from East Germany would be speaking in front of a room full of CEOs and government officials, including the Prime Minister Modi himself. And I know the very fact that I'm here today doesn't speak of my own importance. It speaks to the generational significance of artificial intelligence. I'm convinced AI will be as consequential to humankind as the advent of the steam engine or the personal computer. And India, the great, vibrant nation of India, is poised to win this new age of technology more than any other country on the planet. I strongly believe that. I mean it so much, I was just here 2 months ago and I'm back again today. And it's not only because I love the people, the culture, the food so much, though that's true too, although you all like it a little bit spicier than us Germans. India is on the brink of a great convergence between the world's largest populations of software developers and the rise of artificial intelligence. We predict that by 2027, India will overtake the United States as the largest software developer community on earth. Tens of millions of developers right here creating the digital public infrastructure of the future. And as we all know, where developers are, economic growth follows. Developers drive GDP growth and technological progress to the tune of trillions of US dollars. And the opportunity goes further because it's software developers who are adopting AI faster than any other sector of the global workforce. At GitHub, we've been part of this firsthand. It all started in 2020 when we first got early access to OpenAI's GPT-3 model and created the world's first AI developer tool that we'd like to call Co-pilot. GitHub Co-pilot acts as an AI machine, a prediction machine that completes and predicts code for software developers just as if it were writing an essay or an email. And in the 2 years that Co-pilot was launched, it generated a step change in digital productivity. Developers are already 55% faster when using Co-pilot, an acceleration not seen since the industrial age. Today, Co-pilot is the most popular AI developer tool in the world. Taking together the twin forces of a booming developer population and an ascendant AI transformation will swell a consequential tide of prosperity in India. The largest population of developers who are already accelerating your economic output could move 55% faster. Building at the speed of their own mind, innovating at scale, booming your GDP. And most importantly, making your damn website run without glitches. But you see, that's just one part for this. For India, developers and AI is but the opening chapter of a new book of opportunity. What if the link between developers and AI was just the beginning? What if AI wasn't just for the nerds? What if every person had the power of AI at their fingertips? Imagine your receptionist billing 55% faster. Your customer support staff taking 55% more cases. Your sellers closing 55% more deals. And in turn, if your organization moved 55% faster at large, like a tremendous machine. Yes, what if every organization, no matter the industry, could become an AI organization? Do you see where I'm going with this World Leaders Forum? Just as every company has become a software company, I'm convinced that we are living in an era where every company can and must become an AI company. The age of AI is here. The art of AI transformation falls on each of us as leaders right now. It doesn't matter if you're a cloud native, a startup, or the largest of financial institutions. companies who embrace this change will become early adopters, will exist on a whole nother spectrum of productivity entirely. No matter what industry you're in, you can tell me that having your whole organization run 55% faster would not be a modern miracle. But cracking the code of AI transformation starts with each of you, like any company-wide change. The same was true in the age of the internet and the rise of cloud transformation. The winners in every case were the leaders who acted fast, who saw an opportunity and moved with conviction. Because although we are still in the early days, only those who begin early will win. So today I want to propose a blueprint, 3 steps to enable and lead a successful AI transformation across your organization. 3 steps to leverage this great convergence and win. And step 1 is to perform a productivity outfit. Because ironically, this step is not about AI at all. It's about starting where every problem solver starts, with a problem. Identifying the productivity gaps in your company at large, because AI in search of a problem is pointless. AI for the sake of AI is pointless. AI is a solution to the problem. That is the whole point. We'll get nowhere if leaders throw AI spaghetti, or here in India, AI biryani at the walls and just hope something sticks, right? Technology for the sake of technology alone is a waste of time and resources. Instead, a productivity audit of your organization, find the gaps in performance, the places where your people are falling short or are stretched too thin. Look back at other moments of digital transformation, and you can see that those who use technology to solve a real problem outlasted the competition. Netflix, for example, found a way to make sure you never forget to return a DVD again, and then moved us all to the world of streaming. Or look at Adobe. Adobe moved so fast to distribute Photoshop and Illustrator on the Creative Cloud that we have forgotten all the old CDs or even the floppy disks. Remember those? Orient your strategy around those customer problems. That's how you build a foundation for lasting success. Step 2 is to take those problems and experiment with solutions. What if every employee at Visa had a chatbot personalized to the organization and their team, ready to answer questions on every turn? What if every travel agent at Agoda had an autocomplete template trained on their organization's data, reducing time on boilerplate tasks and freeing them up to get creative? Or if every new employee at Raymond Limited had immediate access to a century of institutional knowledge and memory? At GitHub, we have experimented with this ourselves, creating a co-pilot for our customer success team. And this co-pilot for support brought down support volume by over 20% year over year. Think about that. In a year where we grew revenue by over 45%, where we onboarded over 77,000 organizations to GitHub Co-pilot, and where the number of cyber threats and attacks and the works that comes with that has grown to new heights. AI technology helped us to reduce the number of tickets by 20%. We have the opportunity now, all of us, to scale smarter, to grow faster than ever before. And this leads me to step 3, scale a culture of AI integration that starts in the C-suite. Actually, let's get more specific than the C-suite. The C in CEO is for culture. Especially in those early days, AI-powered culture must be CEO-driven. Every person in your organization needs to buy into this culture, from the leadership team down to the entry-level employees. And that starts with leading by example. We need leaders who will model what it looks like to leverage automation in their everyday lives. We need leaders who find new and interesting ways to use AI to solve problems. We need leaders who aren't so afraid of change that they forfeit the game before it started. As the great change agent Indra Nooyi, former CEO of PepsiCo, once said, the challenge of the leader is to look around the corner and make the change before it's too late. Each of you in this room today, you are those leaders. You are the people who have embraced the uncertain waiting around the corner, so you can pave a new path today, not tomorrow. Because in this moment, our speed and strategy define our destiny. And this has always been the case throughout history here in India and around the world. AI might seem scary and new right now. Some call it a bubble or hype. Heck, some people think we are in the Matrix. But the reality is it's none of that. We all lived through major technological shifts in our lifetimes and seen the way doubters fade away or fall behind. Think about where we were 2 decades ago when the dream of global e-commerce with same-day shipping seemed like something out of a science fiction novel. It was 2007. Amazon was still in its early days selling music, books, videos, toys. When all the way down in Bengaluru, 2 former Amazon employees named Sachin and Binny Bansal founded a company called Flipkart with a vision to bring e-commerce to India. It was a big risk, right? They were young, they were operating out of their 2-bedroom apartment. There was no guarantee this would work. But they dared to take a leap into the unknown. And today, Flipkart is the largest e-commerce platform in India, outlasting copycats and competitors who moved into the market too late. Flipkart's sustained success all these years later is a reminder to each of us, when we move early, we win. And so today, I urge you to heed that advice. It's time for you to take your own leap, to navigate this great convergence between AI, your organizations, and your people, to seize it for the opportunity it is. And the good news is, you're not in this alone. In this dawn of a new age of technology, we are all in the business of figuring this thing out together. And when we do, India, when we crack the code of AI transformation, you will empower all your people to move at the speed of their own minds, no matter their jobs. You will generate a step change in organizational productivity. You will deliver faster than ever before and surge ahead in the global market. And in turn, together, like a tremendous machine, every organization in India will generate a consequential economic boom, a boom that will be felt around the world for generations to come. A new path to prosperity stands before us all. But it's not guaranteed to any of us unless we act now. To quote Gandhi, the future depends on what we do today. So brick by brick, let's pave this path to prosperity together. Thank you so much. Namaste.
Thank you so much, Thomas. That was eye-opening, not in the AI way, just eye-opening. And it's really exciting to see how AI can drive the future of software development, especially in a place like India, honestly.
Absolutely. And with insights like these, the future is looking pretty bright, or should I say brilliantly coded. Thomas, thank you so much for such an insightful chat, both fascinating and actually achievable. And now, we're on to something fantastic.
Well, we've just heard about the incredible potential of AI in the previous session, but now it's time to dive even deeper into how AI is disrupting industries across the board.
And to help us make sense of this disruption, we have a powerhouse panel. Joining us back on stage is Thomas Domke, CEO of GitHub, we just heard from a minute ago, Nigel Vaz, CEO of Publicis Sapient, and Ahmed Mazari, who makes his way back on stage, the president of Microsoft Asia. These leaders are at the cutting edge of AI innovation, and they are here to share their insights on what it means for businesses and society.
And guiding this conversation is the MD and CEO of Invest India, Nivruti Rai, who is a key thought leader and an influential voice in the tech world today. This, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be a fascinating discussion. So let's welcome all our panelists and our moderator on stage with a very warm round of applause.
Thank you all so much for being here. Can't wait to hear you all.
Welcome back, Thomas. That was a crazy session. Enjoy.
Very good afternoon, everyone. I learned, looking at the agenda, that you guys have heard a lot about AI. And guess what? We have a panel on AI. So what me and my friends, the panelists, decided that let's tell you something different. So just to give you a quick context, AI has been in the works for last 50 plus years. More than that, World War II, Turing, you know that. And the latest buzz is around the large language models, the ChatGPT-4. In between, lots of technology development. Neural networks. You know about layers, you know about neurons, you know about weights. Comes the technology, CNN. Really good at matrix multiplication, so this technology is used a lot for visuals. Comes the technology, RNN. This has time factor in it, so a lot of time series-based analysis use this technology, use this architecture called RNN. Comes more technology innovation, comes reinforcement learning, self-learning, beating your own self-learning. Then you hear about GAN, Generative Adversarial Networks, 2 neural networks, one building, one checking and learning. Last few years, there are 2 technologies that really interest me. One is called diffusion technology. What diffusion does, and I'm going to explain to you in a very simple manner, you take a picture, add noise to it, add more noise to it, add more noise to it. That's how you trained your system. Then the use case then becomes, you take a very noisy picture and you remove noises. You keep on removing noises because you've trained yourself. That's the diffusion technology. So what has happened over the years? Image recognition, voice recognition, text recognition, and large language model. Now comes the crux that I want to talk. If you look at ChatGPT-4, it has about 1 trillion parameters. Do you know, to run this trillion parameter model, you need up to 1 million GPUs, several 100,000, or even 1 million. Each GPU has a smart gaming kind of GPU, is 300 watt. Now, one GPU 300 watt, 1 million hours is 300 million hours. Watt hours is the electricity that one ChatGPT-4, 1 trillion parameter model takes. Now, it is 300,000 kilowatt hours. Do you know that is the electricity 300 people will take for an entire year to run one ChatGPT compute leveraging 1 million GPUs. The world today, uses 26 petawatt of electricity power. And data centers use 0.5%. US 3%, China 4%. India 0.05%. So in the next few years, we will get to 0.5%, which means so much energy consumption. So my whole panel is going to talk about what does it take to drive this kind of AI wave, the infrastructure requirements. So I'm going to go there and talk to my panelists and friends, leveraging this. Nigel, I wanted to ask you, we have talked about AI with Tesla, with autonomous driving, with ADAS. I wanted to hear from you your thoughts and views on AI for health, for biopharma, for diagnostics. Just what do you see and how can India play a part?
So I think AI we've all been talking about is transforming every industry, right? For me, health is really exciting because in the work that Publicis Sapient does with a lot of our clients, we're seeing it play a huge role in everything from medical imaging and diagnostics there, where now AI enabling radiologists to spot trends that they were just not able to see simply through faster recognition of patterns. Patient outcomes, so nurses actually being able to be augmented with AI, being able to come up with dynamic treatment plans on the basis of what data sets the machines are spewing out. Because even in an ICU, you've got a nurse to 4 patients maybe, right? And however much you're monitoring them, you're not able to stay on top of their trends and you're not able to predict where the patient's heading. You then start to think about drug discovery. I mean, and molecule identification. There's a ton of progress being made there. For me, I think the biggest outcomes also happen at the consumer level, being able to interrogate data sets that are actually authentically based on medical information that you can rely on. So we're seeing a lot of small language models in specific contexts being able to answer questions that are very, very prescient about, not go to the internet and Google headache, right? Because if you Google headache, 3 clicks later, it tells you you're going to die because you might have a brain tumor, right? Not that kind of, but real specific articulation based on the experience you have. And I think as you start to evolve this, you get to a world where personalized medicine, melding with genetics of every single person starts to become far more accessible, far more cost effective. So to me, health is a fascinating space. I mean, just the other week, something as basic as getting health information out to companies. We work with a very large pharmaceutical company to look at their medical and legal review process in conjunction with Microsoft as an example. And there, how do you speed that process up, which currently takes thousands of reviews of people, lawyers, marketers, now building a model to start to do the checking to say, hey, does this ad actually live up to the expectation or the law in a country? Does it actually deliver the message that you're trying to communicate? Does it actually, can it be versioned, multiple times to fit multiple countries? I think any one of those things is a game changer for an organization like that, both in terms of accelerating the pace of providing medical care to patients, but also in terms of taking cost and driving efficiency in their businesses.
Nigel, can I ask you one more question?
Sure.
Since you talked about personalization, do you see that a platform like ChatGPT 4 becomes the base, and let's say Indian government could provide a platform like that, which is similar to, let's say, UPI, and then personalized AI verticals, let's say health, or let's say hospitality, or let's say traffic, could be built with much smaller parameters, let's say 1 billion, which our country, with the power shortages and all of that could drive. What do you think about that kind of personalization?
I think personalization in that kind of context more broadly is super interesting, right? Because India's got tremendous access to diverse data sets, and you can start to build very specific solutions for India, by India, because India's also got an extraordinarily tech literate workforce. So, you could start to think about, things like city governments or state governments marrying traffic data and traffic patterns with the fastest routes to the hospital for people, depending on where and what they're, so you can start to imagine so many of these possibilities where the personalization happens at multiple tiers. It happens at the tier of the country, it happens at the tier of the state or the city, it happens at the tier of the hospital, and then ultimately at the tier of the patient. And every one of those, the more interactions you have, the more you'll start to create data sets that you can use to train models to create even more specific solutions, like an example of traffic data and health data, prioritizing access on streets to allow somebody to get from where they are to a hospital.
Yeah, I love it. That very golden hour that people talk about, if we could do a traffic manipulation so people could go to the hospital with a golden hour.
Sure.
That's an excellent idea. Ahmed, I wanted to ask you, AI and education. When I look at India, we have a lot of children who don't have access to good schools or good teachers. How do you think, AI and company like yours could help us and could help build a system which drives education?
Yeah, thank you for those fascinating examples on healthcare. And I think the three pivots that, from a social impact perspective, healthcare, agriculture, and education, and this point on education is a good one. Yesterday we met with the founder of a digital coaching company called Physics Wala. Thomas, Physics Wala essentially means, I don't know what it means, who delivers physics perhaps, right? And it's not physics, it's a company that does STEM education. But aside from the fact that they are looking at helping students, and they have 40 million, I'm trying to get the number right here. They have 40 million students on their platform. And one of the programs they run is for 4,000 rupees a year. Now that can only be enabled by using data sets, AI technology at scale.
Yes.
Because 4,000 rupees a year creates an ability to empower kids from the most rural communities in India and provide them a platform of or an equal platform where they can go to an IIT or they can go to an NIT, which was a very rare case when I was growing up in this part of the world. So I'm excited about what we can do and how we can be more inclusive, and I use the word inclusive with a lot of intentionality.
Thank you very much. Later on, I'm going to come back to you on a question on renewable energy and orchestration and what Microsoft could do. But I wanted to ask Thomas. First of all, Thomas, our interaction in the waiting room was very exciting. I really love the culture.
Thank you.
Thomas's mom's birthday is tomorrow, and he's flying to Germany to celebrate with her. That was so sweet of you. GitHub tells me that we can count on you for democratization of AI. We have, if I think of India, there are three things that India is synonymous to. One is people, which is equal to data. The other is software. The perception around the world is India, everybody's a software. And scale, that Ahmed just talked about. We've seen whether it is COVID vaccine or whether it's implementation of the JAM Trinity and UPI interface, India has demonstrated scale. So to enable scale, how can we leverage GitHub for democratization of AI such that people can grab such AI codes and build on top? How can you help?
That's a great question, and I think it ties directly into the question on education. One of the most fascinating use cases of Co-pilot is when kids use it to learn about the world or learn about coding. And one thing that we haven't mentioned yet is it doesn't only speak English, it also speaks Hindi and Kannada and Bahasa in Indonesia, or Brazilian Portuguese and Spanish and many other major languages. And so a 6-year-old that is fascinated by Minecraft or by Super Mario and wants to build their own little game, they don't have to learn English first to figure out how that all works. They can just start asking Co-pilot questions of how I do that. And in the past you always had to have parents with a technical background, or you had to know somebody to ask all the questions that you have, because who else is going to help you through those problems? And the Co-pilot does that for you, does it for the parents. It has infinite patience. If you're a parent, raise your hand if you do have infinite patience. I don't. And it can answer any questions without any bias. And so kids can really explore coding, can dive into the matter and solve their own problems, which is, the biggest dopamine hit that we have is when you solve a problem that you were stuck in and then you can see the game working. Now, this doesn't only work for kids, it also works for anyone who wants to learn coding, anyone who wants to use software to solve a problem. And I think that is where the democratization really comes from, similar to how anyone can start drawing, anyone can start learning the piano. Now with Co-pilot and AI, anyone can learn to code.
One quick question. People are talking about the goodness of AI and the challenges with AI. With GitHub and all of the code available, do you foresee some kind of a rating given to a code which basically accesses or leverages people's data and drives it into information and can create value for the user. Is there any way you think that there'll be something like a rating system for this piece of code?
I think, the way this always works in open source is that many people around the world collaborate together in what we call the largest team sport on earth. For the last 20 years, the open source community has created an amazing innovation out in the open across many countries, including here in India. And often, as an open source maintainer, you don't even know who you're working with. You know their username, you know their code, but you don't care about their title and their part in the hierarchy of an organization or their education or reputation. You care about collaborating with code together. So I think the open source model is actually better than any other collaboration that we have on earth, that has no borders or boundaries. And B, it will help us to create a better world because developers around the world will keep innovating in open source with the help of AI, with the help of AI data, and with the help of open weights and open source large language models.
Thank you. Nigel, we want to be honest to our time and we want to just ensure that, people catch up. So I wanted to give you the last few seconds that we have to make any closing remark.
Well, I think just listening to Ahmed and Thomas and what you were talking about before, I guess for me, the biggest skill I think we have to develop in this new world is a skill to kind of learn, unlearn, and then relearn. We've got to be constantly learning. The power has to come from our ability to learn as opposed to what we know. Because so much of what we know isn't going to be as relevant going forward. So when you think about a kid, it's not about AI giving them the answer. It's about AI helping them understand how to solve that problem. So Emma's example is a personal tutor. Is what I take away from that example. Every one of us now has access to a personal tutor at a very low cost, every child. And similarly, to play the piano, I never learned to play the piano on a piano, but now I can actually digitally. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
I think we're going to end up with learn, unlearn, and relearn. I think that's the dial that we have to constantly work on. So thank you very much, and thanks my panelists. You were amazing.
Thank you so much.
What an incredible conversation and a wonderful deep dive into the world of AI. Thank you to our panelists, to Nivriti for breaking down the complexities for us and showing us where our real opportunities lie.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more, Minnie. AI is more than just the hype, it's moving beyond buzzwords and truly reshaping the world we live in. A big thank you to Nivriti for guiding such an enlightening discussion, and lots of love and respect for our wonderful panel here.
Ladies and gentlemen, prior to the arrival of the Prime Minister, there's going to be a security sweep of the entire hall. And while this takes place, we request all of you to kindly join us in the Shah Jahan Hall. There'll be some refreshments and we'll sanitize the place, and we'll see you right after that. I hope you stick around, for the most exciting bits are still to come. So see you in a bit.
Thank you so much for being such a wonderful and attentive audience. We'll see you very soon.